implicated in the CIT robberies, leaving a suspicion that the so-called suspects killed during these operations may not have even been involved in any CIT robberies.
Members of Parliament's Portfolio Committee have clashed over being chaired by the DA's Ian Cameron. The tensions come after Cameron was linked to allegations of a plot to remove National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola from his position. The claims were made during testimony before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry by IDAC prosecutor Drushanta Ramsamy. Some members have called for his recusal until he clears his name. Babalondenze reports.
Ian Cameron's name has come up a few times during the Madlanga Commission regarding the IDAC decision to charge suspended National Commissioner Fani Masemola. The matter also came up during today's Police Committee meeting, which was discussing a joint committee report about another issue. The MK Party's Vusi Shongwe, who himself has appeared before the Madlanga Commission, called on Cameron to recuse himself over the allegations.
I think we can't continue with you as our chairperson when you are implicated in the Madlanga. I think we should first of all understand that are you criminally implicated in removing the general of the SAPS, Masemola. So no, don't disturb me, Chair.
But the DA's Lisa Schickeling came to Cameron's defense, saying Shongwe should make a written submission.
That is not the truth at all.
Chair, this is not a point of order.
Proceed with the meeting. I suggest we proceed with the meeting, Chairperson.
Cameron has also dismissed the allegations as hearsay and denied being part of any plot to target Masemola. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
The man accused of killing 2 police officers and 2 civilians in Reiger Park last week intends to apply for bail. Reagan Collins appeared in the Boksburg Magistrates Court today, facing 4 charges of murder as well as attempted murder and the unlawful possession of a firearm. According to police, Collins had committed the crimes while he was out on bail in connection with a separate case. Nkosikona Malingamnisi reports.
While police say Collis was already out on bail for other serious offences when he allegedly went on the shooting spree, the 23-year-old has told his lawyer he intends to seek his release on bail. His attorney Samgele Kuzani has confirmed to EWN that they will bring forward the bail application at the next court hearing on August 25th.
This is Schedule 6 bail application, and it's on us to prove that interest of justice permits his release. So it is on us.
Some of the charges Collis faces before a different presiding officer are believed to be linked to gang activity. The Hawks say their profiling has established that Collis is a well-known gang member in the gang-infested Reiger Park community. Meanwhile, the 2 police officers killed in the shooting are being remembered at a memorial service in Westdean this afternoon. ConCourt's Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
The man accused of arson at the Usindiso building in the Joburg CBD in 2023 will have to wait until next week to learn his fate. This after the Johannesburg High Court sitting in Palm Ridge postponed judgment yet again. Today's delay was linked to Thembiso Mdlalose not being brought to court by officials. Mdlalose faces charges for allegedly starting a fire that swept through the hijacked 5-story building, killing 76 people and injuring dozens more. Mdlalose confessed to starting the fire on 2 occasions, but later withdrew his confessions. Judge Karim Musa.
This court has been informed that Mr. Mdlalose has not been brought by the Department of Correctional Services to court. This matter is postponed back to the High Court of South Africa, Gauteng Division, Johannesburg, sitting here at the Magistrates Court, Palm Ridge, DC 13, to Monday, the 17th day of August 2026.
And in Greece, more than 280 people have been arrested this year over fire-related offences. The arrests include 252 for fires caused by negligence and 29 for deliberate arson. Arrests for arson have steadily increased between 2014 and July of 2025. Those responsible for starting the fires in Greece now face sentences of up to 20 years in prison and fines of up to 200,000 euros. Greece remains on high alert for fires today, just days after a blaze destroyed more than 11,000 hectares of pine forest near a seaside resort. Gold is trading at $4,422.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.09 to the dollar, 21.78 to the pound, 18.59 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $89.22 a barrel.
In 4 ways, there has been an accident on Winnie Mandela Drive between Leslie Avenue and Monte Cassino Boulevard, causing delays. And in Sandton, there is slow-moving traffic on Catherine Street between 5th Street and Grayston Drive.
It's a cold and cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 11 and 14 degrees.
In your sport, Babalala to lead the Springbok women for their second test against Fijiana. Spelele Mkhulise, the hero as Mamelodi Sundowns opened their Betway Premiership campaign with a win. And Sri Lanka's Kusal Mendes out of India test with injury.
The top story in EWN, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard that dozens of people killed by KZN police over their alleged involvement in cash and transit heists could not be even linked to those crimes.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
A very good afternoon, everyone. It is 8 minutes past 3 on Wednesday, the 12th of August. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. As you just heard in Mbali's bulletin, alarming information coming out at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. Allegations that some police involved in shootouts in KZN might have been involved in committing crimes rather than preventing them. More on that after 5, including a summary of the proceedings with Alpha Ramushwana. Are water tankers a solution to the problem when the taps run dry and water supplies get cut off? Might they actually be part of the problem? Dr. Henk Boshoff from the South African Human Rights Commission has been investigating some areas of concern. He joins us with his findings at 10 to 5. And was the Western Cape High Court right to put a stay on the work of Parliament's Phala Phala committee? You'll recall, I'm sure, that President Cyril Ramaphosa took that matter to the Western Cape High Court and got a decision in his favour. Well, the ConCourt was approached to get involved in adjudicating whether the Western Cape High Court had actually come up with the right decision. Well, seems to be what they're saying is, don't ask us. We're not going to hear this matter. What's going on? Lindsay Dentling has watched it closely. She'll be here to explain in about 5 or 6 minutes' time. And since today is World Elephant Day, did you know that? Some of you probably did. What is your favorite song with a wild animal in the title? Send us your suggestions on 072 702 1702, but don't bother sending us this song because it's already taken. Already taken, as I said, one of Kabazella's absolute favorites. But your suggestion, please, on 072. You should have seen the look I just got. 072 702 1702. Market's interesting today, actually. The JSE fairly flat at the moment, which makes it sound like a kind of uneventful day. But actually, earlier, when I looked like a day where we might find ourselves deep in the red again. But we are back in positive territory, more or less. No big margins involved there. What's pushing that? Well, a 6.5% jump in ShopRite shares is a big contributor. Also, a 2.5% increase in the resources index, which is reflected in strong gains for Anglo Gold, Goldfields and Northam, all of them well above 3% on the upside. Gold price driving that, of course, up by $43.74. Even bigger spike for platinum, $58.40 today's gain. On the downside, Grindrod is off by 10.6%. Clearly a story there. Omnia weaker by 8 again. We'll get some insight into that later. And Naspers, which normally has the capacity, given its huge presence on the JSE alongside Prosus, has shed 5.3%. The fact that we're not strongly down is a measure of that, of the strength of those gold and platinum stocks. Rand is doing well, trading 16.14 to the dollar. That's a 5% pickup over the past 24 hours. 18 Rand 63 gets you a euro. That's another 5-cent gain. I said a 5% gain against the dollar. I meant 5 cents, of course. Another 5-cent gain against the euro as well. The Rand is trading at 21 Rand and 83 cents against the pound. More market news with Stephen Curtis at 25 minutes past 4 o'clock. Tolakele Mganga has all the sports news, more Betway Premiership action tonight and some interesting games last night. Lisego Singo has the traffic news, and we'll get the very latest news headlines with Mbali Dlamini. That's coming up at about 3:30. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. If we can bring you the very latest news in 702 land, which extends pretty much everywhere, well, we'll do so. But if you are able to help, or if you're ahead of us, because that happens, you have your grapevines, you see things around you, please do get in touch and let us know what you've seen or what you think we ought to perhaps be understanding a little bit differently. Take part in the show by calling us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So I mentioned today is World Elephant Day, and I'm keen to know if you had any close encounters, whether they were extremely dangerous or not, but enough to be unsettling with wild animals. Now, that could extend to huge animals like elephants. I'm sure people have had some elephant stories, and most complicated encounters, certainly for people visiting places like the Kruger Park, tend to be with elephants. But your close shaves with wild animals, please tell us your stories on 072 702 1702. Jonathan Fairbairn, Kabazela, don't make a big thing about the Nelly the elephant thing. It was your suggestion.
It was.
Yeah.
You're lucky I didn't pick the children's version.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
No, we'll still
this
play
punk
that.
version was actually quite nice.
It was very nice. Who's that by?
Toy something. The title escapes me now, but I'll get it for
You'll
you
dig it
just
out,
now,
but get the kids' version for later.
I will.
Okay. Close encounters, wild animals. Any?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had anything that's very harrowing or like, if you're on a game vehicle getting attacked by an elephant or something like that. But I'm a massive novice when it comes to going to the bush.
Right.
And I'm probably, people that have been with me will say I'm useless, because when I'm in that car and you're driving in the Kruger, it hypnotizes me. I sleep until somebody says, "Oh, there's something," and then I wake up and have a look. But I have two instances where I remember I was invited to go to the Kruger to join my aunt and uncle and cousins at Satara, the Camp Satara. And I'd never driven in the park before by myself. And I got in the car and I was driving, and I came across elephants.
Yes. Tricky.
And I wasn't sure how to handle it. And, this one elephant was coming very close to my vehicle, but then stopped, luckily. And I didn't know whether to drive or just to stay still. And I went with instinct and I stayed still.
Yes.
And luckily it got bored and off it went. But it was very, very, it was an intimidating experience driving in the park as a novice and by yourself, because I'm sure there's things that you should do and shouldn't do
without a doubt
when you are driving, right?
No, absolutely.
So and the second one was in Tlahlui. I did a correspondent package there. I think it was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I recall that.
With buffaloes. And there was a massive herd of buffaloes as well. And then I got almost caught in between, and I just stopped and parked. And then this Urmi in his bakkie, he just was like, "What is this I'm doing here?" Stopped. He just came right past me and just started driving and moved these buffaloes out of the road. And of course, I just tail gunned him and drove behind him. So, those are my two experiences.
Buffaloes move. Elephants, particularly if it's a breeding herd, so you'll see if they're young, be especially careful. Do not get between mothers and the small ones would be one piece of advice. So I've had a few experiences, and they've generally been on foot. Walking in the Kruger Park in the area of the Olifants camp, we followed behind a rhino for about an hour, trying to get as close as possible. Eventually, they said, "Look, we need to turn back. We've got to, it's the end of our walk." Turned around, started walking back. Walked for maybe 30 minutes. Sat down to have a water break, and then the guys who were with us said, "Oh." And the rhino, after we'd followed it for, let me say, 40 minutes or whatever, decided to follow us. And nobody had noticed. And it was curious. It was a
white rhino.
A white rhino.
Okay,
so more tricky if it was a black rhino. But that whole interaction would have been shorter with a black rhino. Rifue letsu are wild animals. They don't have to be big five-style animals. There are plenty of things that are wild, but that you might find in your neighborhood, for example.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So this happened when I was about 13. It was a grade 7 excursion. I don't really remember which part of the bush we were or some game. I don't remember. All I remember is we're staying in the chalets for the weekend, and then later on we were supposed to take a walk of sort. And it didn't happen, and we then decided as a group of grade 7s, we're just going to walk and just see what happens. Then we came across a few warthogs, né? They're called warthogs.
Yes.
And then we're like, nah, man, this is Pumbaa, somewhere there. And we're like, what would happen if we provoked them?
Oh.
So me being me, I was like, I'm going to try it. I mean, if I die, I die. That was a grade 7 mentality. So I provoked them, and all I remember is hearing that funny sound. I think that's the sound. You see, I'm trying to remember the sound. And they came running after us, and we just ran. One of us fell. We didn't look behind. I know someone was like, oh, I just fell. We just ran.
Yes. As long as you can run faster than somebody else. It doesn't
behind
matter
you,
if you can run fast. Anyway, we do know they would not have eaten you. Liseko, wild animals, whether you've had encounters with them or maybe there's some that you are particularly nervous about in anticipation of meeting them. Wild animals?
Unfortunately, John, I haven't been in the bush before as yet.
Yes.
But I don't know how I feel when I go to a certain game reserve and I've been chased, or our vehicles is being chased by an elephant. How will I react?
Yeah. Well, the good thing is to find out exactly how they react, but mostly go with someone who's done it before and then let them sort it out.
Yeah.
If they know what they're doing, you probably won't get in trouble in the first place. So give us a call, please, on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Encounters with wild animals, big or small, in the bush or maybe in the concrete jungles that so many of us live in, because there's plenty of wild stuff in Joburg and other places as well. 072 702 1702. So no buffaloes causing traffic jams, I would think, in Gauteng, unlike in Hluhluwe, Lisego, but where have we got problems, if any at all?
Well, John, in Sandton, there's slow-moving traffic on Catherine Street between 5th Street and Grayston Drive. In Boksburg, expect delays on Trichard Road between Adderley Street and Leopold Street. And in Devland, expect delays on the Golden Highway between Union Avenue and East Street. Rederpoort, there's an accident on the N1 North before 14th Avenue, slowing down traffic. Johannesburg South, there's a stationary vehicle on the N1 South after the Renshaw Road at the Diepkloof interchange. Please drive carefully and use the Nasrec Road or the Soweto Highway as an alternative. And in Bedfordview, there has been an accident on the N3 North before the Gilulis interchange, slowing down traffic from Van Buren Road. And in Tshwane, in Centurion, there's queuing traffic on the Old Johannesburg Road from Littleton Road and Mopani Road. In Grondkloof, there are delays on the On14 between Eofees Road and Trichet Road. If you have any other traffic update, head over to our WhatsApp line on 072 702 1702.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Has this process of repatriations, not deportations, been finalized now?
We have finalized number of the people now that are repatriating very small. Some of them are doing self-repatriation, but also we are scaling down the facility now in Musina because it was temporary. So very soon I think the Interministerial Committee on Migration will do an announcement in that regard. But we had actually scaled down the capacity from 20,000 to 1,500 because the numbers were dwindling.
Tulani Mabusos.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Welcome spring to Jozi on 6 September at Nairox Sculpture Park in the heart of the cradle of humankind. Inspired by the sounds and scents of Africa, shaping rhythm and emotion, spring jazz continues its tradition of artistic excellence, inspiring contemplation and celebration. A breath taken in wonder, gratitude and community. Featuring performances by Ndabo Zulu's Umgidi Ensemble, Nomfundo Kaluva, Vuyo Viwe, Sisonke Tonti and Shane Cooper's Spirit Whisper. Limited tickets are available from NairoxArts.com. Nairox is a private not-for-profit foundation to benefit the arts. All income is used to maintain the grounds, the artist residency program and artist support.
And they're off. Horse racing is now live on 10Bet. All the tracks, all the races, and all the thrills, all the way down the home straight. Saddle up and join now at 10bet.co.za.
10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. License number 921096661.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus our attention now on the Constitutional Court at issue. The decision made by the Western Cape High Court earlier this year in regard to the President Cyril Ramaphosa's attempt to get some kind of stay on the Phala Phala impeachment process. The ATM, African Transformation, took it to the ConCourt. The ConCourt has spoken on the matter. Let's find out what they've said and what we've learned from that decision. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN parliamentary reporter who's been covering this from the start. Lindsay, a very good afternoon to you. It went to the ConCourt. What did the highest court in the land have to say? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, the ConCourt brief, as it often is with such matters, saying essentially that the applicants had not made out a case for leave to appeal directly to it. We know that that was a legal point that we had debated at the time when the interim order was handed down by the Western Cape High Court, whether in fact it was appealable. But the Constitutional Court says it doesn't find that it's in the interest of justice to hear this matter at this stage, given the imminent determination of the review in the Western Cape High Court of that report that has given rise to the inquiry, saying essentially it would then render the interim interdict moot, which was the argument that several legal analysts had made. And so the applicants and Parliament's impeachment committee, which also appealed that interim court order, will now have to abide by the Western Cape High Court order until that review application is heard next month, John.
So Lindsay, that settles that once and for all, that particular aspect of things. In between the Western Cape High Court ruling last month, let's step away from court proceedings for a moment and ask you this. Obviously, the committee's been meeting and they've been making progress on all sorts of matters, as I understand it. If you can sum up for us, what are the key things the committee has got done, that Western Cape High Court ruling notwithstanding?
Look, John, I think it was always going to be a long shot to think that public hearings was going to start anytime soon. And certainly not my view that it would have started before or will start before the Western Cape High Court hears that review next month. But they have moved considerably. They had a marathon meeting a week ago. They've given it a bit of a break this week, and they'll be back next week. We have incidentally heard from the chairperson of that committee, Makashule Ghana, in the wake of this latest court order, and they have made considerable progress in nominating an evidence leader. I say that's only a recommendation. It is up to Parliament to make that final arrangement. So they have moved on that matter. And they also went through a 54-page document trying to nail down the terms of reference for this inquiry, which is essentially the guidelines that will determine how they will do this work. So those are two major aspects before these public hearings that the court has put a stop to could even begin. I mean, an evidence leader would still have to appoint an assistant. They would then have to determine who their witnesses may be. They would then have to meet with those witnesses before any hearings are held. But all that preparatory work is underway, and it does continue. And I think what now remains to be seen is how quickly the Western Cape High Court will not only hear this matter, as I think 2 days are set down for it next month, but how quickly they will determine that particular matter, which only then will Parliament then be able to continue with public hearings in this impeachment inquiry.
Just a broad question, and possibly one that calls for some degree of speculation, but I'll ask you anyway. Lindsay, I mean, your sense as to whether, as the committee has moved through the gears, or moved down the road, let's forget gears, on this particular issue, are they becoming a committee of increasingly shared and common purpose? I know there are some things they've disagreed on. They're of political parties with very different reference points on the issue and very different approaches to governance and related matters. But do you get a sense that an effective committee with common purpose is starting to take shape?
John, it's difficult to say because of the size of this committee. And
Right.
we have seen in some of the meetings, 31 members in a committee. You can just imagine if 31
Sure.
MPs are going to question
Yes.
a witness, how long, so it could become really unwieldy. But just in the matters that they have, I mean, they did not agree on the evidence leader. We saw the ANC abstained, and they've clarified why they've abstained from it. And that might still become another matter that will have to return to the committee if they decide not to go with Advocate Griffiths Madonsela on this particular matter. But you do see that certain political parties are banding together, and those are pretty much the parties that we see moving as a collective to the courts, the so-called Progressive Caucus, the ATM, the EFF, the MKP, the UAT, kind of working together. The DA not really disagreeing much, opting in some instances to remain quiet, and sometimes I wonder, are they even in the committee? And then there are political parties which have not really participated, quite specifically. We see the Patriotic Alliance and Al-Jamaa rather siding with whatever the ANC says or does or doesn't do. They side in that way. So I think the lines are being drawn, but it is really early to say, how they might move certainly down the line. But there are certainly, if I can call them, camps. Along which paths
Right.
in which certain political parties are grouping and expressing similar or the same sentiment on particular matters, just in terms of preparing for this inquiry.
Thanks so much. Lindsay Dendiger, EWN parliamentary reporter, watching both the court processes and the parliamentary and political processes as well on this all-important issue for the country. And what I find really interesting is you get kind of outcomes, either of a court case or a matter that needs settling by the committee. But I think the processes also shape things. I think they shape the law and people's understanding of it on the one hand, and within Parliament, I think they shape relationships and alliances and perceptions of what the role of the legislature actually is. So very, very interesting. On the face of it, sometimes doesn't seem like much is happening. I think quite a bit is going on. And as always, Lindsay giving us insight into what's going on just below the surface. 702 Drive, 3:30. News time with Mbali Dlamini. South Africa taking over the SADC chairperson position, and the foreign minister's been talking about that. Mbali, what's he been saying? Good afternoon.
Well, John, a very good afternoon. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has identified peace and security, industrialization and regional infrastructure as the country's priorities as it takes over the SADC chairperson position for 2026 to 2027. Lamola was speaking at the opening of the SADC Council of Ministers meeting in Durban today. He says the region must move away from simply exporting its raw resources and instead beneficiate critical minerals at source, build regional value chains and trade more with one another.
We know from earlier chapters in our unfolding history that our region's wealth has nourished economies far and wide, beyond our borders, while our region's economies have remained trapped in all patterns of extractive accumulation. Reversing this pattern requires us to beneficiate our resources, build regional value chains, and trade more with one another.
The Western Cape government has made a 480 million rand commitment to various provincial departments to repair recent storm damage. It says the money has come from its unforeseen and unavoidable fund accrued from savings through its good governance. The province's storm damage is estimated at 10 billion rand following the two cold fronts that hit the province in May this year. The storms brought heavy rain and strong winds, causing widespread flooding, loss of life and significant damage to road and electricity infrastructure. Premier Alan Winde says the funding will allow departments to intensify their response.
We can't wait indefinitely. We've now depleted this reserve in order to get rebuilding going or to continue rebuilding as we have been doing.
Prosecutors in the Nafiz Modak trial have used cell phone evidence to implicate the alleged leader of a local gang in the attempted murder of criminal defense attorney William Booth. The accused, Tawfiq Brown, denies being the leader of the terrible West Siders gang in Woodstock. Brown faces charges related to an attempt on Booth's life 6 years ago. Carlo Peterson reports.
Accused number 4, Tawfiq Brown, has continued to deny any involvement in the attack on Booth at his Eaglevale home in April 2020. Brown's wife, Kotar Brown, along with accused number 5, Riyad Ghasant, were arrested shortly after the incident and later pleaded guilty to being involved in the attack. State Prosecutor Blaine Lazarus today used cell phone evidence to show Brown was communicating with his wife at the time of the shooting. Brown, who was in prison at the time, denies having any knowledge about the plot to kill Booth.
Did you ask her who gave her instruction?
I was not interested in that.
So you were not at all interested in your wife getting involved in an attempted murder of William Booth? Didn't ask her anything about that. That's what you want the court to believe.
Because I know she was not involved.
The trial continues. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
And in Colombia, government has declared 3 days of mourning for victims of an earthquake that demolished buildings in the west of the country. More than 200 people were killed when the 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit the nation on Monday. Pereira and Cali were amongst the worst hit cities, with dozens of buildings collapsed and people feared still trapped under the rubble. The Colombian government has declared a national disaster. As a result, rescue teams continue to search for those feared missing. The earthquake is considered the strongest to hit the nation in a decade. It's a cold and cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with showers expected today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 11 and 14 degrees.
In the traffic in Fourways, there's been an accident on Winnie Mandela Drive between Leslie Avenue and Monte Cassino, causing delays. In Boksburg, expect delays on Trichard Road between Early Street and Leopold Street.
The top story in EWN, International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has identified peace and security, industrialization and regional infrastructure as the country's priorities as it takes over the SADC chairpersonship for 2026 to 2027.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
A South African police detective was found shot dead in his car on the side of the road. He'd been investigating whether our special forces were behind the disappearance of a suspected member of Islamic State, or ISIS, and his bodyguard. Why was this officer killed, and what happened to Abdullah Abadiga?
3 years ago, Frans Matipo, who is a tenacious and well-respected investigator, had managed to drill down on the abduction significantly and was pursuing phone records at the time of a number of members of special forces, including senior members, when he was lured by a false informer, so to speak, to a location where, when he left that location after the informer didn't appear, he was subsequently followed and executed. And it would appear that this involved the vehicles of this front company that special forces have been involved in over the last 10 years or so.
Piers Pigu, Executive Director of Intel Watch.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic's early spring season features an excellent lineup of world-class international conductors and soloists performing with the finest musicians. Curated to match the vitality of spring, the program includes favorites by Tchaikovsky, Brahms, Mozart, and more. Concerts take place on Thursday evenings at the Linda Auditorium from 13 August to 3 September at 7:30 p.m. Tickets available at Quicket or visit jpo.co.za.
That's Amanda, before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Do you ever call you like to sell? But don't trust your uncle or your pal. Then we buy cars, it's just for you. Buying cars is what we do. We offer service with a smile. We always go the extra mile. Use a place that you trust and sell your car to us.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, brother John. It's Mongezi in Joburg. I've had two of these wild animal encounters in the bush. The one was when the game viewer was just off one of the roads because we were following this herd of elephants and it had been raining for 2 days. So as he got off the very muddy dirt road into another muddy side road, even muddier, one of the male elephant bulls turned back, charging at us, and now he's trying to reverse, but it's muddy and wet and the grass is wet. And I mean, within about maybe 20-30 meters of trying to reverse, not too far from this elephant, we get stuck and the wheels just keep turning and we are now in grass. Fortunately, the elephant just turns back at this point and then we edge our way outward. So this was one of the terrible, sort of worst, scary ones. And one of the beautiful ones is in the Kruger, there was a elephant, a lioness that had cubs. I think there were about 4 or 5 cubs, and we would drive to this place where they were in the bush, in the wild, and they would be we'd park next to them. I mean, they would be like a few arms lengths away from where we were, and the cubs are so calm around their mother. So these are 2 of those. Thanks, John. Great show.
Good afternoon, John. Shablan from what we've been on. For me, the closest one in our house, the worst of the worst, without hands or legs, the snake. We even sold that house. We couldn't stay there anymore. We moved out, John, and sold that house. Thank you.
Yeah, boy, what a thing, hey? I mean, the more people can understand the way animals, but elephants in particular, are likely to react. And I do sometimes wonder whether more information could and should be provided, maybe in pamphlet form, specifically about how to engage with elephants. Just some simple rules: keep your distance. If you quickly, and you'll realize very soon if it's a breeding herd, females and young elephants. Just some good advice on what to do. The downside, I suppose, is will people actually read it? And properly understand it? I don't know the answer to that, but regular bushgoers, or maybe out there are some people who act as game guides or tour guides of some kind. Maybe you've got some views and some insights as to how these kind of situations can be avoided. Sometimes they get complicated and fast, especially in summer when the bush is particularly thick and the roads are wet. But nevertheless, I can't help thinking we could be doing better at this. Your ideas, please. It's 18 to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele Mganga, a very good afternoon to you. We've got some interesting football coming up tonight, and there's women's rugby as well.
Absolutely, John. And it's Phala Phala who lead the Springbok women in their second match against Fijiana on Saturday, with Maria Tsaramba included at wing in what will be her test debut for South Africa. Laja's one of 6 changes made to the match day 23 from last weekend's 55-12 win over their hosts. Meanwhile, flanker Katha Jacobs replaces Lerato Mokau, who picked up a knee injury in that opening clash. Switching over to the Betway Premiership, where Mamelodi Sundowns are up and running following their 3-2 win over TS Galaxy last night. Substitutes Pelele Mkhuluse scored a late winner as Miguel Cardoso's side avoided losing their opening league match for the first time since 2007.
It's our intention to fight as best as possible and as much as we can. With the energy we have to put, the maximum commitment possible for this league. It's not because we lost it before, it's because it's our ambition to state ourselves and dominate the South African football. So we have to do it because it's the history of the club.
4 games are scheduled this evening, including AmaZulu at home to Orlando Pirates, while Kaizer Chiefs host Kekune United. Defender Thabiso Monyane says it's important to bounce back with the win in this game, having suffered a surprise quarter-final MTN8 exit at the hands of Lamontville Golden Arrows.
Of course, all eyes are on Sekhukhune this midweek game. The MTN8 Cup results definitely tested us as a group. We've used that as fuel. It showed us where we need to work, how we need to sharpen ourselves, and I think it's a wake-up call for all of us.
The All Blacks earned a comfortable 54-0 win over the Sharks in their second match of the greatest rivalry tour. Captain Luke Jacobson says it wasn't as easy as the scoreboard suggested, especially as they had to contend with cold and wet weather.
I mean, it tested the skill set, but I was really proud of how we were able to execute, particularly in that second half. I was really pleased with our forward pack and the movements we made there around the scrum, the maul. And then some of our backs play with getting back on the high ball was excellent. So yeah, tough conditions, but I mean it's enjoyable footy as well. You take the opportunity to play in something like that and just have fun.
And Sri Lanka wicketkeeper Kusal Mendes has been ruled out of the 2 tests against India due to a hamstring injury. Narushan Dekwela has now been included in the 16-member squad in his place, with the opening match to be played in Gale from the 15th of August. Dekwela hasn't played a test match since March 2023 after disciplinary action was taken against him. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 4, we're moving into the busy patch. Let's find out just how busy and say good afternoon again to Lisejo Singo.
Thanks, John. In KZN, there's been a bumper-to-bumper traffic on Malibongo Drive between Dawn Road and Boundary Road. In Fourways, there's been an accident on Winnie Mandela Drive between Leslie Avenue and Monte Casino, causing delays. In Boksburg, expect delays on Trichard Road between Adley Street and Leopold Street. And in Sandton, there's slow-moving traffic on Rivonia Road between Marion Street and Grayson Drive. Meanwhile, traffic lights are out in Edenville at Modderfontein and Van Riebeck. In Fourways is Cedar and Witkoppen. In Fourways is Cedar and Fourways Boulevard. In Fourways is Church and Witkoppen. Also in Tshwane, in Centurion, there's queuing traffic on the Old Johannesburg Road from Littleton Road and Mopani Road. Also in Groenkloof, there are delays on the N14 between Eufis Road and Trichard Road. For any other traffic updates, head over to X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Still to come on 702 Drive shortly. It is Organ Donor Month in South Africa, August that is. We're going to be looking at cornea donations. The Cornea Foundation Tissue Bank is the organization we'll be chatting to. Marlies de Jager is their manager, and that's coming up shortly. Very interesting subject about which I know virtually nothing. So I'm looking forward to getting some new information and some enlightenment. Tolakele, tell me, encounters with wild animals, big or small? They don't have to be elephant size. They could be scorpions, for example. Okay, you seem relieved. No scorpions so far.
Not for me, but I remember the first time we ever took. So I've told you before how I had a grandmother that lived in KZN.
Yes.
So we'd always go to the beach and kind of be around KZN. So she got stung by, I can't remember what it was, but the experience I think it was a stingray, yes.
Goodness.
Yes.
That's serious stuff.
The experience for her, because also we had, even though we had gone to the beach quite a few times, none of us have ever experienced that. So when she went through it, it was just all of us kind of going, what to do, and it was just the shock of knowing that this thing is possible. It did also make the rest of like the beach going uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because now all of us are just having a little moment where we're just going, are we going to be the next one? So that was just something that we didn't enjoy. But she also never, she hates going to the water, whether it's the beach, it's the pool.
Yes.
And you always have to say to her, there's nothing there. And she's like, nope, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, immediate recollection of a bad moment. So I mentioned I had most of my interesting encounters have been on foot, walking in the Kruger Park, which I love to do. Near the Satara camps. Many of you will actually know that part of Kruger. There's a big dam there. And the guides took us on a long looping walk around the dam and back again. Anyway, when we arrived at the truck where we'd been driven there, because we didn't walk from the camp, there was an elephant standing guard over the truck. The problem was it was starting to get darker and darker, and things get tricky if you can't see what you're doing. And I, for a moment, thought of making like a stupid guy from Joburg joke about, well, at least nobody will try and steal the truck with the elephant there, but decided to just keep my mouth shut. And both of the guards actually went when the elephant moved off. So that was an interesting thing. But again, in the company and under the protection of people who knew exactly what they were doing, it was more, what's the word? A little bit nervy rather than actively scary. Encounters with wild animals, please. Your stories. 072 702 1702. As hot on the heels of World Lion Day, we celebrate World Elephant Day. It's 11 minutes to 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Coming up after 4 o'clock, we are going to be talking about some legal action taken by the Legal Resources Centre. They are pressing very hard to get information out of the city of Johannesburg in regard to the Metro Centre. As you know, up on that hill in Braamfontein is a massive building that has fallen into complete disuse. It houses crucial documents for architects, for development planners and others, apart from the fact that its disuse has forced the city to spend millions on rentals. What is the Legal Resources Centre trying to find out? They've put in a promotion for Access to Information Act application. There may be a technical term that I haven't quite got right there, but we'll talk to the LRC after 4 o'clock. 10 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, I mentioned that today, that August rather, is Organ Donor Month. And today we focus on a particular issue, treatable corneal blindness. It's not because there isn't expertise to deal with it or that surgery is not available, but they require the donation of corneas. Now, to explain exactly how this works and also to talk about an interesting fundraising event that they are doing, we welcome to the show Marlies de Jager, who is Tissue Bank Manager at the Cornea Foundation Tissue Bank. Ms. de Jager, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Just to set the scene, explain exactly to us corneal blindness, what corneas are, and what you're trying to get the public to be more aware of. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you for having me and thank you for this opportunity So corneal blindness there's different reasons for being blind, and being blind due to corneal abnormalities or injury to your cornea is one of the 5 top reasons for people to be blind. Like you mentioned in the introduction, this is a treatable condition. We can help people not being blind anymore. They can see the gift of sight through corneal transplantation. And it's not because we don't have expertise in this country. It's purely because there's a lack of or not enough corneas in South Africa available to help all these people. So through education and training, we can make more corneas available, and then also help more and more people in South Africa and help them have a good life and a wonderful experience. And maybe they can also go to the Kruger and experience some life there and see the wonderful animals. So that's what it's all about with our event that we are planning on Friday.
Just before you jump to the event, let me just make clear to everybody what the cornea is, because people think of eyes as one thing. The cornea, according to the Cleveland Clinic, is the clear dome-shaped outer layer at the front of the eye that covers the iris and the pupil. It acts like a camera lens, bending light to help you see clearly, and serves as a shield against dust and germs. We'll come to the fundraising in a moment. I promise I won't forget that, Ms. Diache. But if you do get cornea donations, what exactly is involved? Obviously, this is when someone has passed and in their will or their final bequests has said that this is a contribution they wish to make. What happens next?
So if a family say yes to corneal donation, then the retrieval specialist will be allocated to the patient and the place where the patient is or the body is lying, and then the retrieval process will start. Please note that we are not removing the whole eye, it's just the cornea, exactly like you explained. So I try to explain to family members also, most people know how a contact lens look, right?
Yes.
And you know where a contact lens is sitting. So a cornea is almost like a contact lens. The contact lens is sitting on the cornea as well. And it's a see-through lens, if you can say that. And that is what we are removing. So it's not removing the whole eyeball. So the color of your eye, the iris, and everything else stays. And it's done with the utmost dignity and respect. And that's also the reason why families can still have an open casket the next day. The body can still be viewed. It's done with the utmost dignity and respect.
So,
and I also think...
do finish that thought.
And I also think that is also the reason why people agree to cornea donation so often, because it is not such an invasive procedure. So it's not cutting the skin. It's not disrespectful towards the body or anything like that. It is a very respectful procedure.
So So you're having something later this month, 14 and 15 August, 2 nights, called Dinner in the Dark. What exactly is going to happen? I'm assuming that it's not just food, but you are also trying to convey a sense of the world of people who can't see properly through the way you have the dinner. But describe it for us, please.
So it is giving the people, the guests that is attending, just a glimpse of how it must feel to be blind, because a beautiful 3-course meal will be served with wine pairing. It's very fancy meal or fancy dinner, if I can say that. And it's all served in pitch darkness. You won't be able to see your hand in front of you. And it is quite a moment of making you humble, because all of a sudden you must make use of your senses other than sight. So what you hear, what you smell, what you feel. And then towards the end of the evening, once the last meal is served, then only the light goes off. And that is like experiencing how the effect must be of being blind and all of a sudden seeing. So it's not just education, but also experiencing the effect that transplantation can do to someone's life. Corneal, but not just corneal, also with all the other organ transplants as well. Many people are on the waiting list, waiting for heart transplants, lung, liver, kidney. I can name all of them. And although they can see, they are
Yes.
also in sort of darkness as well. So waiting for that phone call to say, we've got a potential organ for you or tissue for you. And that is more like a celebration, our dinner of dark, to say thank you to all these donor families that make this happen, to say thank you back to them and
Yes.
have an experience of what it is like to be waiting for the gift of sight, but also for other organs, and then also afterwards to say thank you for the gift that they are giving to other people.
Thanks so much, Marlies de Jagen. If you are interested in attending this, it's 14 and 15 August. It's at the Wits Club and Conference Center on the campus. And I think the best thing you can do is just get in touch with the Cornea Foundation Tissue Bank. Just to say, many, many years ago, I was living in London at the time, 1995. And on the south bank of the Thames, there's a whole complex of theatres there. They had something called Dialogue in the Dark, where they did something very, very similar. And what it is somebody, a guy called Andreas Heinecker in Frankfurt in Germany, wanted to prove to the employer of a friend who had become blind that his friend could still do the job, even though he had lost sight. And he created a situation at the place where this person worked, where they would be in pitch darkness, and his friend then demonstrated how he could go about fulfilling the task that he did before. Out of that grew this thing called Dialogue in the Dark, and literally in complete darkness, and you had to surrender anything that could generate light. There weren't many mobile phones in those days in 95, but even watches, which might have some kind of reflective capacity, you had to hand them over. And then they set you 4 tasks. First of all, you had to cross a road. Not literally a road, but it was set up so that you could feel the crunch of gravel. There was the sound of cars coming, sound of cars going. You had to do that. You had to go into a bar and order, get drinks and pay for them. And all of this was meant to raise awareness in the way that Dinner in the Dark did. It was a most extraordinary experience, which I must admit was brilliantly staged, so realistically that when we were actually had to cross the road, I was thinking, no, they couldn't. No, they wouldn't. They could not, because it really did feel absolutely real. So, yeah, check it out. Dinner in the Dark. Get in touch with the Cornea Foundation Tissue Bank, 702 Drive.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Has this process of repatriations, not deportations, been finalized now?
We have finalized number of the people now that are repatriating very small. Some of them are doing self-repatriation, but also we are scaling down the facility now in Musina because it was temporary. So very soon, I think the Interministerial Committee on Migration will do an announcement in that regard. But we had to actually scale down the capacity from 20,000 to 1,500 because the numbers were dwindling.
Tulani Mabusos.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Your business needs an additional high-speed espresso grinder, but do you have the cash to fund it? Before you compromise on the core items your business needs, have you looked at saving on your business insurance? Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium for restaurants, convenience stores, beauty salons, pharmacies and all other businesses. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurance FSP, TCs and information online.
It's Harold's hotline. Pat on the line.
Harold, I'm panicking. I've been walking around the mall for 4 hours. I'm currently staring at a scented candle, a car tire pressure gauge, and a pack of batteries. Should I just get all of them?
Gee, Pat, you're not buying a birthday gift. You're building a lost and found bin.
I thought if I get enough variety, one of them had to hit the mark.
My friend, you're confusing a birthday with a roadside emergency kit.
The mall is closing in 10 minutes, Harold.
Good. Get out of there, click on Net Florist, get a beautiful floral arrangement and a personalised bottle of their favourite wine. Net Florist. It's easy to show you care.
Unleash extraordinary with the all-new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 256 gig from Vodacom. Get it for just 1,549 Rand per month over 36 months on a 4 gig Red Core plan. Plus, receive an in-store accessory voucher up to the value of 1,500 Rand. Enhance your deal at 149 Rand extra per month and get the new Galaxy Watch 9 eSIM. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
This is EWN.
No direct access to ConCourt for Phala Phala appeal, and a KZN officer accused of shady business with tow truck drivers. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Constitutional Court has dismissed a bid by political parties and Parliament's Impeachment Committee for direct access to appeal a recent ruling to interdict public hearings in the Phala Phala matter. The ATM was first to launch a direct bid to the country's highest court following last month's Western Cape High Court order granted in favour of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa wanted to stay proceedings of the committee until it has considered his review application of the report which forms part of the basis of the inquiry. The inquiry is looking at whether Ramaphosa should be impeached over his conduct following the theft of millions in US dollars from his farm in 2020. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Last month, the Western Cape High Court prohibited Parliament's Section 89 committee from proceeding with more than preparatory work for President Cyril Ramaphosa's impeachment inquiry. This order is to remain in place until the same court has decided on Ramaphosa's complaints that the report that has given rise to the inquiry is flawed. But political parties such as the ATM, EFF, MKP and UAT were unhappy with that order and approached the Constitutional Court for leave to appeal. Parliament's Impeachment Committee also instructed the State Attorney to appeal. Today, the court said the applicants had not made out a case to appeal directly to it. The court has also concluded that it's not in the interests of justice to hear the matter, given the imminent determination of the review application. The Constitutional Court says the outcome of that matter will render the interim interdict moot. For this reason, it says leave to appeal the order must therefore be refused. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
A KwaZulu-Natal police officer was allegedly paid more than 2.5 million rand by a tow truck company owner. The Madlanga Commission has heard that the head of the KZN Police CIT task team, Dina Govender, received several suspicious cash payments between August of 2022 and December of 2023. This was revealed by IPID Deputy Director of Investigations, Len John, who was testifying at the Commission about links between KZN Police and criminal elements. Alpha Ramashwana reports.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard that KZN police are under investigation for alleged extrajudicial killings over the past few years. IPID is looking into allegations that the KZN CIT task team may have killed hundreds of people without first establishing that they posed a threat. IPID investigator Len John says it is even more concerning that the commander of the task team, Dina Govender, appears to be living beyond his means.
In his founding affidavit in the interdict application, Mr. Gregory Loftus alleged that Mr. Clive Naika had promised to pay Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender 2.5 million to kill Bevan Loftus.
He says it appears that some KZN police officers are being used by drug syndicates to target specific individuals and stage the killings to make them appear as shootouts. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The kidnapping case against a convicted drug dealer turned businessman has been postponed to August the 25th by the Durban Magistrates Court today. The 65-year-old cannot be named yet, as he is yet to confirm his plea to a sexual assault charge. He was mentioned at the Madlanga Commission last month, though, when details of an alleged plot by EFF leader Julius Malema to remove former Inspector General of Intelligence Sindluma Maru Dindwe emerged. Karinda Jakmahan reports.
The suspect, with ties to crime intelligence and former police minister Bheki Cele, has been linked to alleged human trafficking, having been charged with kidnapping, criminal injuria, cybercrime, sexual assault and obtaining women for purposes of prostitution. 4 years ago, the Hawks rescued several women from a Durban North mansion linked to the suspect. The women were allegedly forced into online sexual acts. No arrests immediately emerged from that case. Meanwhile, in a brief court appearance today, the state indicated it would oppose bail when the matter resumes in 2 weeks. The suspect has since been remanded to a Westville hospital for health reasons following a doctor's note. Corinda Jagmohan, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Staying in the courts, the man accused of arson in the Usindiso building in Johannesburg in 2023 will have to wait until next week to learn his fate. This after the Johannesburg High Court sitting in Palm Ridge postponed judgment yet again, while today's delay was linked to Thembiso Mdlalosa not being brought to court by officials. Mdlalosa faces charges for allegedly starting a fire that swept through the hijacked 5-story building, killing 76 people and injuring dozens others. Mdlalosa confessed to starting the fire on 2 occasions, but later withdrew his confessions. Judge Karim Musa.
This court has been informed that Mr. Mdlalosa has not been brought by the Department of Correctional Services to court. This matter is postponed back to the High Court of South Africa, Gauteng Division, Johannesburg, sitting here at the Magistrates Court, Palm Ridge, DC 13, to Monday, the 17th day of August 2026.
And in Zimbabwe, the death toll following the capsizing of an overcrowded ferry on Lake Kariba has risen to 44. Yesterday, the vessel went down with witnesses claiming that bodies could be seen in the water as rescuers tried to reach the vessel. The ferry, which carries people between the northern town of Kariba and several islands and fishing villages, capsized with 77 others rescued and taken to nearby medical facilities. It is one of the worst recorded passenger boat disasters on the lake, which is on the border with Zambia and more than 300 kilometers northeast of the capital, Harare. Gold is trading at $4,422.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.09 to the dollar, 21.78 to the pound, 18.59 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $89.22 a barrel.
In the capital city, Tshwane, traffic lights are out in Edenville, in Waterkloof, Glen, Diza and Garsfontein Road, and Centurion at Nalmapias and Oliven Pointsman are on duty in those areas.
In your sport, Babalala to lead the Springbok women for their second test against Fijiana. Spelele Mkhulise, the hero, as Mamelodi Sundowns opened their Betway Premiership campaign with a win. And Sri Lanka's Kusal Mendes out of India test with injury. A cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 4 degrees, peaking at 14. Pretoria 6 and 18, and Vereeniging 4 and a high of 16 degrees. The top story in EWN, the ConCourt has dismissed a bid by political parties and Parliament's impeachment committee for direct access to appeal a recent ruling.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, 9 minutes past 4. Yeah, it really is extraordinary, the ripples that emanate out of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and its deliberations and find their way into somehow a reinvigorated police investigations and it would seem much more focused prosecutions and so on. It's hard not to, in many ways, compare it to the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. In some ways, they were different exercises, but I wonder what's different about Madlanga, and that could well be based on learnings that were gleaned and gathered from the many, many hours spent at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. They come across as different to me in what their consequences are, but I'm sure it's perhaps a simplistic conclusion I'm drawing. Maybe you've got some insights. Do share them on 011 883 1702 and 072 702 1702. Lisejo responds to the news out of the ConCourt's and says, I love this country. If former President Zuma was Stalingrading, does it mean President Cyril Ramaphosa is filibustering? I think it would be more like Phala Phala bustering. Anyway, thank you, Lisejo. Always finding a light moment is something we do in the midst of all the more complicated things going on in our country. Coming up on the show in the next half an hour or so, there are much, much tougher laws that are coming in regard to legal mining. The question is, do we have the investigative and prosecutorial expertise, nous, will, call it what you wish, it's possibly a mix of all of those things, to make sure that these tougher laws are actually applied to the people who are at the top of this criminal exercise, rather than using sledgehammers on foot soldiers. Yes, of course, they have played their part, but they are also replaceable. Will this be used to crack down on people who are actually organizing, empowering, and enabling these activities? That is the focus of our next interview in 3 or 4 minutes' time. And then the Legal Resources Centre in Johannesburg is putting some legal pressure now on the city of Johannesburg. They want all engineering and safety reports that have led to the Metro Centre's closure. It's a step that was taken a number of years back. It's a step of massive consequence. On the one hand, there are literally hundreds of thousands of planning records in the basement that can't be easily accessed. And then, of course, if they're not using the Metro Centre, government officials, well, what they are doing is they are in rented accommodation and rented premises, which is costing you, me, and a whole lot of other people a huge amount of money. Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702 and listen up when we talk to Shatira Babu Hassim, who is at the Legal Resource Centre, and she'll talk about the action they're taking. 12 minutes past 4. We asked you about close encounters with wild animals, this on World Elephant Day, and quite a few of you are also responding to the interview we had about cornea transplants. Let's take a listen.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
How's that, John? Look, whatever you do, put the animals and whatever you can find in that certain area, put them in a pamphlet. But please don't do like this other place in Swaziland. They put them in their menu, and they put snakes that you might find in that lodge. Ndate John, I was, just paging through that menu, and then I lost appetite on the last page. I think it's called Bulembu in Swaziland. I might be wrong. But they put the snakes that you might find in that place on their menu. I'm telling you, Tate John, I lost it. I lost appetite. I lost it. Couldn't even sleep at night. I used to have so terrible days because of that. Because I couldn't sleep at night. Thanks.
Hi 702. Just a quick question. Why can the cornea not be manufactured? Can a synthetic version of it not be created if it's similar to a contact lens, at least in principle?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I don't know anything about it. People who are ophthalmologists, eye surgeons, experts in this area, or perhaps work with the cornea transplant process on the advocacy side, synthetic manufacturing of a replacement, call us on that if it's something you know something about. That would be very, very helpful indeed. 14 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Latest traffic news, Lisejo Singo.
Thanks, John. In KSN, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Malibongo Drive between Dawn Road and Boundary Road. In Boksburg, expect delays on Trichard Road between Adderley Street and Leopold Street. And in Roodepoort, there's an accident on the N1 North before 14th Avenue, slowing down traffic. Traffic lights are out in Edenville, Modderfontein and Van Riebeek, Kelvin, Old Pretoria Road and Northway. Pointsmen are on duty in those areas. Traffic lights are out in Waterkloof Glen, in the city of Tshwane, Diza and Garsfontein Road, in Centurion, Malmapius and Oliven, Centurion, Erasmus Drive and Brockfontein Road, Kilner Park, Stormfool and Robin Street, and Pretoria West, Eskiam Pahlele and Van Wolf. Pointsmen are on duty in those areas. If you've got any other traffic updates, head over to our WhatsApp line on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsmen can't help with your teenagers' mood swings, I'm afraid, but they can get the traffic flowing smoothly so you get to the school with enough time for a proper goodbye. The Outsurance Pointsmen are real heroes in green and purple, easing traffic congestion and making our lives easier for almost 21 years. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using hashtag PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, very interesting news coming out of the Department of Justice from the Minister Mameluko Kubai said new amendments, the law in regard to illegal mining is being amended and the penalties are going to get much, much stiffer. For example, illegal mining is for the first time classified as an unlawful act. Perpetrators can now face a maximum jail term of 30 years. There are massive fines that could be levied up to 100 million rand. All very well to have a law with teeth, and nobody's going to argue against that. But it does raise, for me at least, some broader questions that if the people you are catching in regard to this particular crime tend to be, as seems to me at least to be the case, the foot soldiers, the people who are doing the digging, the people who are underground at risk to themselves, and I'm not saying that in any way as mitigation for the crime they are committing, but they are literally at the gold face, if I could call it that. What then, though, of the people who are organizing, enabling, and most crucially, actually taking delivery of this illegally mined gold and turning it into absolutely astronomical profits? Is it worth it having a much stricter law if we're not catching those people? Richard Chellan is a governance and anti-corruption specialist and joins us now on 702 Drive. Mr. Chellan, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. Is my characterization correct that we are not seeing syndicate bosses being arrested and prosecuted? It tends to be the people who do the digging.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to the listeners, and thank you for having me on the show. If I may take you back a bit, about 7 years ago, I wrote an article on the exact same challenge, and back then I argued that, we cannot, the government and law enforcement cannot arrest their way out of it.
Yes.
And it was typically that, the arrests were mostly of the foot soldiers rather than the kingpins. But it seems now that the Justice Department has come back and tried to close the loophole, right? And like you say, does it target, the big guys or just the poor zamazamas? For that, I would say on paper, it does look good. It targets the entire value chain, right, including those who assist. It means, on paper, it can reach the financiers, it can reach the big bosses, the kingpins, as we like to call them. But the challenge is we've had this problem for over a decade, right, since I wrote that article. And so far we haven't, seen a single kingpin in court. While I would say the new law and the new bill gives us the tools, but I think enforcement is everything.
Do you have a clear idea, Mr. Chellan, why none of these kingpins have been arrested? I mean, my understanding is that when you get people lower down the chain, yes, you can prosecute them, but there is an opportunity through interrogation and perhaps some deal making to start moving your way up the chain. Is it because, for example, that these syndicates have actually developed a really strong culture of silence and, might stiffer sentences at the bottom possibly break that culture of silence?
Yeah, I would say no. You're quite right there, John. Because these foot soldiers. Because if we think about it, if we look at when we talk about illegal mining, we talk about criminal syndicates. And the term usually uses organized crime syndicates, right? And these
Right.
are very organized, right? So very often the foot soldiers only knows the buyers, right? The one that buys the gold from them. And they don't have any clue of who is above that. And it's very, very strict silence code and enforcement code among these syndicates. And anyone that breaks that can easily be replaceable. We've seen situations, I think most recently we've seen, if you break the law, I mean, they have their own kind of law within the syndicate. If you break that, you're quite likely going to be executed, right, and dumped on the side of the road.
Right.
So there is that aspect of fear that you do not question those above you. You only do your work and you get paid for what you do.
Any thoughts, though? I mean, we've spoken around the arrest prosecution aspects of this, but as you rightly point out, you can't arrest your way out of this problem. Why have we failed to put even a single, let's just stay with the word kingpin, in court? Because surely there must be intelligence out there. There large quantities of metal are being moved around. Surely that's leaving some trace.
No, it is. It is. I think we also have to look at the broader picture, right? And that's something that I looked at, or I brought out in the previous one of the article I wrote, was that, law enforcement, and we're talking about SAPs with a mandate to target these, they're very stretched, right? They don't have the resources,
yes,
the training, the intelligence capacity, and also, it's about priorities as well. Because, we have murders, we have rape, we have all of those that take priority. And sometimes the resources stretched out to illegal mining and other form syndicates are quite limited and can be quite challenging, right? It demands a lot, and very often we don't have the budget for that. But at the same time, I would say, in order to catch the kingpins, because we're talking about a massive syndicate, right? We have the buyers, we have the runners, we have those who sell it.
Yes.
And sometimes you will find that these kingpins are based internationally, not just locally, right? Because it becomes very difficult because as with organized crime, corruption, it's transnational, it's across borders.
Right.
So very often you will need, cross-border intelligence and very strong information sharing, which unfortunately we do have challenges in that department.
Thanks so much, Richard Scheller, who is a governance and anti-corruption specialist. 23 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, from time to time, we've focused our attention on the closure of the Joburg Metro Centre. This, of course, happened many, many years ago, but that hasn't stopped there being lots and lots of questions. First of all, actually, why was it closed down in the way it was? That massive building, if you're wondering what I'm referring to, just opposite the Joburg Theatre on the hill on the east side of Braamfontein. Questions have been asked about the basis on which this decision was taken, because the decision has been hugely consequential. On the one hand, the city has then had to rent other premises at huge cost to ratepayers, taxpayers of all kinds. But secondly, there are all sorts of documents in the basement, not kept in anything like the state they should be. These are documents, some of them of historical importance, but they are crucial to the planning decisions, big and small, that people have to undertake as they try to add economic value either to their own households or to the future prospects of the city. So one of the issues of contention has been that the engineering and safety reports that the city, the Metro government has insisted have informed the Metro Centre's closure, but they've never been released. That could change as the Legal Resources Centre has submitted a formal Promotion of Access to Information Act application. I'll call it PIA from now on in. So what are they hoping to get, and how long might this take? Shatira Babu Hasim is an attorney at the Legal Resources Centre, the LRC, and joins us now. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you for your time. What exactly are you hoping to get if your application is successful?
Good afternoon, and thank you for hearing us this afternoon. So essentially what we're hoping to achieve with this FIRE request, FIRE application, is a call, a request to the city to provide us with reasons, written reasons regarding, why they want the closure of these buildings. Like you mentioned in the introduction, it's really important for the public to have this information because the documents and contained in those buildings is crucial. It's crucial to the public.
Right.
So it's very important that we receive reasons why they actually want to go ahead and close these buildings that contain such important information.
So you're not just asking for an explanation, because that could come by way of a press statement or a statement of some kind. There are actual documents. As I understand it, I'm looking at a piece Anna Cox wrote for Daily Maverick. There are engineering and safety reports, and these are constantly referred to. Is it those documents you want? You're saying, yes. show us the reports.
Yes.
Unedited.
Yes, no, unedited. That's what we require. That's what we're requesting from the city. Hopefully they respond to us. In terms of the application, they have a period of 30 days within which to respond to us. And if they don't respond to us, we will follow the procedures in place in terms of the legislation, to ensure that the city is responsive. You cannot just refuse and choose to ignore us when we're requesting information because essentially, like I said, the public is entitled to know what's happening. We're entitled to see the reasons for the closure and exactly what's happening there.
Was there any kind of pre-negotiation before you embarked on the PIRE route, Ms. Hassim, where you, for example, approached the city and said, look, we can go the PIRE route, but in the meanwhile, these are documents that's informed a decision that has massive consequence for people who live in the city of Johannesburg. Please, can we have the reports? Did you go that route? And if so, did you get a response?
There were short discussions, but nothing essentially to assist us in,
right.
In satisfying what we were asking for. Yes, and that's why we were forced. Well, not forced, but this is available to us to use this application process, and that's what we, what the organizations that we represent requested us to proceed with, which is the Ahmed Kutrara Foundation and the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation, as well as the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance.
Okay, so you've got the backing of organizations that have been active around the issue, and it's likely that they have already made their own requests to no avail. So 30 days to respond. If they say no, can't find them, please be patient, your call will be answered, or whatever version of that you get. In other words, a non-response in terms of action. What are your next options? Do you, if a PIRE application is refused, what is best practice say should follow?
So in terms of the Promotion of Access to Information Act, we can then obviously lodge some sort of an appeal if there's a refusal or if we don't receive, a proper response from them. And then we just follow that due process, in all likelihood, or what could happen eventually, some sort of court procedure. But, that's not what we really want.
Yes.
We would like to obviously always, speak to the city and try and come to arrangements or some sort of suitable response is what we want from them instead of pursuing unnecessary sorts of litigation and things like that. But we will follow a due process and if that is necessary.
Thank you so much, Shatira Babu Hassim, attorney at the Legal Resources Centre. We'll follow that with a great deal of interest. Can I just say that I think this whole situation is absurd and absolutely indefensible. If you've taken a decision that costs the public money and you use public money to produce two reports that justify the decision you have taken, and you make it so difficult for interested parties, and an interested party, quite frankly, could be anyone who lives or does business in the city of Johannesburg, to say, can we see those reports that, we actually paid for? But we've got to go through all this legal thing. It's indefensible. And more than that, it's really quite absurd. I don't believe that either the city of Johannesburg or the people who are concerned about the state of the city have either the time or the money to be dealing with something that has been made as unnecessarily difficult as this. Hand over the reports. Let people read them. Let people debate the contents. Let's move on. There's so much else that actually needs doing. My thoughts. Let's get yours. 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Does it have to be this difficult?
What are they hiding? Honestly, what are they so scared of?
Surely
cowards.
Not. Hand it over. Let's talk about it. Maybe there are excellent reasons for your decision. Enough of that. Markets, please. Stephen Curtis, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. In case you misheard me, cowards is what I meant to say. Cowards. That's COWARDS. Cowards. The JSE All Share is down 0.59%, John, 115,261 points. Financials are down 0.59. Industrials are down 2.84. The one sort of bright spot is resources. They're up 1.75. But the story, two big stories of the day, really. The one is ShopRite. They're up 7.23%. I mean, it's literally like the business is coming to them on a blue motorbike. I mean, that's really what's happening with ShopRite at the moment. So the owners of Checkers reporting their total group sales for the 52 weeks to the end of June are up by over 7%. The rest of the market was only up by 2% during the period. They opened 150 new supermarkets and 93 bottle stores. Their internal selling price inflation for the period was 0.8%. Their adjacent businesses, so think their new formats, think their clothing, their pet store, all of that was up 60%, John. I mean, they really are just motoring, and that's really pushed their share price up 7.23%. Completely different story for Grindrod, down nearly 11% today. So the logistics construction firm, their headline earnings, they say, will be down by around 60% in the 6 months to the end of June. Now, there are a couple of things going on here. Part of it is sort of Forex calculations from last year, the Matala port and Maputo. But there were also once-off profits in the previous period. And so this is one of those things where what happened last year affects your figure this year, even though everything's kind of trucking along in the way that it's supposed to. Goldfields, so they're up 2.82%. Valterra's up 2.7%. Northern, they had a strong update yesterday. They're up 2.21%. And Implat's also up 1.74% today. And Phala Platinum reporting their headline earnings per share. It's a ridiculous number. They'll be up by about 3,300% or so. Their revenue is up 51%. They increased their production by 5%, but platinum prices, obviously the main driver of that. Omnia is down 8.23%. Prosus and Naspers are down to around 7%. And the Foschini Group's down 3.48%. In fact, HCI, they're down 3.69% on the day. In the US, there was inline inflation data, what people were expecting. One or two beat earnings from some of the infrastructure companies involved in AI. For the moment, the Dow Jones is down 0.03%. The Nasdaq is up 0.65%. The S&P 500 is up 0.25%. The gold price at the moment is $4,434.66. The platinum is $1,792.55, and Brent crude $88.46, roughly where it was yesterday. The rand, John, getting stronger and stronger. I mean, slowly, lots of reasons why. The carry trade is very profitable in the rand at the moment, or compared to other things. The rand to the dollar, 16.11, or so call it 16.10. To the euro, 18.61. To the British pound, 21.78. Why are they hiding the report? Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
"26 minutes now to 5 o'clock. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini. Fuel price, Treasury's getting involved. Over to you. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Treasury says an additional 10 billion rand allocation to the Central Energy Fund will help to prevent major fuel price shocks to motorists due to the volatility of the oil price and the exchange rate. The special appropriation bill was discussed by Parliament's Standing Committee on Appropriations for the first time today, but MPs were surprised to learn that the transfer has already been made. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo says the decision for the special allocation, which falls outside the two budget cycles, was prompted by geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, which flared up earlier this year. With the 3-month fuel levy relief having ended in June, Masondo says the Treasury wanted to create a buffer for further unforeseen volatility.
And of course, South Africa is particularly exposed because it imports. We import a substantial share of our liquid fuel needs.
While the committee was largely in agreement that the public needs to be protected, they have questioned the decision to transfer the funds before obtaining parliamentary approval. But the Treasury has explained it invoked Section 16(1) of the Public Finance Management Act, empowering the Finance Minister to authorise immediate funding from the National Revenue Fund for urgent unforeseen expenditure, capped at 2% of the annual budget. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The International Labour Organization says global recovery in youth employment has stalled, with more young people struggling to find work. The organization reports that the global youth unemployment rate rose to 12.4% in 2025, up from 12.3% in 2023. That translates to around 67 million unemployed young people worldwide. The ILO says the share of young people not in employment, educational training, known as NEET, has also increased. The global NEET rate rose from 19.7% in 2023 to 20% in 2025. Annalita Fandese has more.
The International Labour Organization says the deterioration is widespread. Youth unemployment increased between 2023 and 2025 in 8 of the world's 11 sub-regions. The ILO says slowing economic growth, weaker job creation, geopolitical tensions and rapid technological change are making the transition from school into decent work increasingly difficult, and young women are bearing a disproportionate share of that burden. The global NEET rate for young women was 27.4% in 2025, more than double the 13.1% recorded among young men. The organization says the challenge now goes beyond simply creating more jobs. It is about ensuring those jobs offer security, dignity and a genuine pathway into adulthood. Annalita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And in Colombia, government has declared 3 days of mourning for victims of an earthquake that demolished buildings in the west of the country. More than 200 people were killed when the 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit the nation on Monday. Pereira and Cali were amongst the worst hit cities, with dozens of buildings collapsed and people feared still trapped under the rubble. The Colombian government has declared a national disaster as rescue teams continue to search for those feared missing. A cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 4 and 6 degrees and highs of between 14 and 18.
In Alberton, there's slow-moving traffic on Voortrekker Road between Split Street and Ring Road. In Kaasen, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Malibonga Drive between Don Road and Wetkoppen.
The top story in EWN. Treasury says an additional 10 billion rand allocation to the Central Energy Fund will help to prevent major fuel price shocks to motorists.
Local government elections aren't about politics. They're about the roads you drive every day, the water you need, the electricity you rely on, the rates you pay, the services you deserve. You see, local government isn't somewhere else. It's your neighborhood, your street, your home. So in the run-up to the local government elections, 702, Cape Talk and EWN will be where the issues that matter to you are put in the spotlight, where the tough questions are asked, where the crucial conversations begin, because this is more than local. It's personal. Follow every moment of the local government election on 702, Cape Talk and EWN.co.za. Download the EWN app.
That's Fani, before he got naked. Fani's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really funny meme he posted in the group chat.
What?
So Fani got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fani. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
The course is ready. The players are set. Watch as they step up to the tee and go for glory. From booming drives to crucial putts, birdies, eagles, and hole-in-ones, every shot could change the game. The tension is rising with every swing as the world's best battle it out. Explore an exciting selection of golf offerings with Hollywood bets and back your favorites on the fairway. Bet now.
T's and C's apply.
Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
That old ring, the broken chain, the gold coin sitting in a drawer. What if it could put money in your pocket today? At Gold Capital, we turn gold, diamonds, Krugerrands, and luxury watches into instant cash. With over 30 years' experience and thousands of 5-star Google reviews, South Africans trust Gold Capital to do it right. Get your free valuation today at goldcapital.co.za. Gold Capital, South Africa's trusted gold brokers since 1992.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and team. It's Dean from Centurion. I would just like to know, this is honestly just an open question. Why do we as South African citizens have to constantly fight to make available documentation that is used, or anything that is used to make a decision? These people are appointed by us to serve us. And I'm going to emphasize that, to serve us. Why must we constantly go to court, and we again have to pay for those legal fees to see stuff that is supposed to be open? I'm not understanding this. What did I miss somewhere in life that says we're not allowed access to stuff that is actually ours? We are the actual owners thereof. If anybody has an opinion, that would be great. Thanks, man. Have a good day. Cheers.
Yeah, I think it's another way of putting the same question that I asked, and you just have to wonder, because your point about entitlement to those details, to those documents, to those reports is to me absolutely obvious. The question that you're asking is, why are people actively being non-cooperative in this regard? If people want to offer a view on that, I've expressed mine on 072 702 and 011 883 0702. It's 18 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Betway Premiership really well underway now. I know it's only game 2, but so many interesting matches, great fixtures, and we've got some more tonight, Phala Phala.
Absolutely, John, and it's 4 games that are scheduled with both Soweto sides in action. Champions Orlando Pirates are away to AmaZulu, and ahead of it, Abdeslam Adu has once again emphasized the importance of his players scoring from the multiple chances they're creating.
We are the team who are creating the most chances. But my frustration, you can imagine that if we can convert 70% of these chances, you can imagine it will be just fantastic. So we are working on that. Don't think that we are not doing something to work on that. We have a lot of work with our players, especially offensive players. And after the reality, sometimes you can work, but you need talent.
Kaizer Chiefs return to the FNB Stadium to take on Sekhukhune United. That's where Reef Rossler and his teammates are determined to get back on track, having been knocked out of the MTN 8.
Losing the MTN 8 game is not ideal, but we've got to pick ourselves up and go on to the next one. We've got Sekhukhune on Wednesday. Another chance for us to go out there and do what we need to do to try and get a positive result. And yeah, like I said, in the 8th game, we are disappointed with the result, but we got to look forward. Now we've got Sekhukhune on Wednesday and then another game on the weekend.
Former Liverpool head coach Arne Slot has held talks about the vacant Netherlands job, but withdrew his application as he wants his next role to be in club football. Ronald Koeman stepped down from his second spell as manager after the Dutch were knocked out of the World Cup by Morocco in the last 32. And former Portugal manager Roberto Martinez is now in talks with the Dutch Federation to take over. Switching to rugby, where the All Blacks improved in their discipline in a 54-0 win over the Sharks in their second tour match. New Zealand captain Luke Jacobson was happy with the team limiting their opponents to just 8 penalties. That's compared to conceding 16 against the Stormers in the first game.
Yeah, look, I think when you're competing at a high level, there's sometimes going to be penalties, but it's just, those easy penalties that you want to limit. I think we took a step in the right direction from last week, and I think, looking at the second half, we were really clean. So, as Ren said, those penalties early on in the game, we've got to set good pitches there, and we flow from there.
And Joe Root has abandoned the midnight curfew in place for England's cricket team after being reappointed as Test captain. The curfew was brought in during the Ashes in Australia and was the reason Ben Stokes and Gus Atkinson were stood down for their second Test against New Zealand. Root, however, is taking a different approach to the behaviour-related guidelines under his captaincy and says that player behaviour is now their own responsibility. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 4:45, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Lesego, is it busy or not so busy?
Busy. So, John, thanks. In Alberton, there's slow-moving traffic on Voortrekker Road between Split Street and Ring Road. In Woodmead, there's a congestion on the N1 South at Rivonia Road, slowing down traffic. In Kaya Sand, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Malibonga Drive between Dawn Road and Vetkoppen Road. And in Midrand, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Ellendale Road between the M1 South and the N1 South. Johannesburg South, there's a stationary vehicle on the N1 South after Renshaw Road at the Dipcliff interchange. Please drive carefully and use Nasrec Road or the Soweto Highway as an alternative. And traffic lights are out in Edenville, Modderfontein and Van Riebeek, Kelvin, Old Pretoria Road and Northway. Traffic lights are out Tshwane, Waterkloof Glen, Diza and Garsfontein Road, Centurion, Nelmapies and Oliven, Centurion, Erasmus Drive and Brockfontein Road. Pointsmen are on duty in those areas. For more traffic updates, head over to our WhatsApp line on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 47. Did I turn the iron off? Oh, the inner turmoil. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsmen on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Yeah, we're going to be talking shortly about water tankers. This has come very much into focus after the tragic incident in the eThekwini metro where Tselani Zungu, who was run over by a water tanker and killed in that particular accident. But there are many other questions as well around water tankers. Are they in some way related to not just the breaking of water infrastructure, but its deliberate sabotage? Well, someone who's been doing some digging into that is Dr. Henk Boshoff, who is a commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission. He's my guest in a couple of minutes' time. He's written an interesting opinion piece on that. We'll talk to him about some of the things that he said and some of the things that his digging has revealed. All that and more on 702 Drive. Tholakele, this is something that sort of caught my eye. The actor Brad Pitt said that after 7 years sober, he has resumed drinking again. He believes he can do it in a restrained manner, has a few glasses of wine, and says he handles it in moderation. In his words, this was in an interview with Esquire. A few, but I can't have a lot. Park aside the specifics of Brad Pitt and what he's been sharing with a wider audience through the interview, that he did a much broader question, and it doesn't have to do with alcohol at all. But in general, have you ever said you're giving something up and then actually decided, you know what, I'm not giving it up anymore?
I gave up meat for 11 months. It started when I did vegan worry. I just wanted to see if I could do it.
Yes.
And then it went into month 2 and month 3. And I was actually having quite a good time. But then December came about and I was like, let's have a serious conversation. You're a Zulu girl that's going to go to Newcastle for the school holidays.
Yes.
How do you think that's going to work for you? And then I had to be like, no, for 1 month, I'll break my veganness and then I'll go back to it in January. I didn't.
I was a vegetarian for about a year, and then the first meat I ate was at a Wimpy bar in Himansdorp. I was hitchhiking from Transkei, and the guy I was driving with took me a huge distance.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, I at least ought to get him some lunch. And he said, let's go to the Wimpy. So
It's
that was
always
it.
a wimpy that's your downfall, John. Always.
Yeah. Not
Shout
with-
out to them.
It
eh?
ended not with a bang, but a wimpy. There we go. How about you, Lesego? Is anything that you gave up and you went back?
Yes, actually, I gave up a few months ago milk because I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay.
Yes, but when I see that chocolate on shelves, I'm like, yo, temptation. And yeah, and also my cousin, because most of the time I'm with my cousin, and then he will be like, oh, just go slow on that sugar
Yes.
or milk. And like, I can't help it. Can I just have a biggie slice of it?
Yeah.
Please, portion of it.
You're battling.
I'm
Keep
battling.
battling. You never
Yeah.
know. You may well win. By the way, let me just be very clear that line that I use, not with a bang, but a wimpy, is a line from the punk poet from the 1980s, John Cooper Clarke, who twisted a line from T.S. Eliot's famous poem, The Hollow Men, who spoke of not with a bang, but a whimper. Anyway, acknowledging John Cooper Clarke before someone catches me plagiarizing. 9 minutes now to 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
The water tankering system is something that's come under a great deal of scrutiny, this in particular in the city of Joburg, but not uniquely there. I've heard stories and allegations and conversation around people who own water tankers being involved in various ways in undermining of the water provision systems as a way of enhancing their business. Well, some investigation into the role of water tankers and possible skullduggery in that regard has been conducted by the South African Human Rights Commission. Dr. Henk Boshoff is a commissioner at the SAHRC. He's published some of his thoughts in Daily Maverick today. You can go and check that out after we've finished chatting to Dr. Boshoff. Doctor, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. Water tankers, a clear issue in so many communities in South Africa. And you're saying in your article, if I read the first part of it, you're saying actually this was always meant to be nothing more than a stopgap, but it's become something more than that. What exactly has it become? Good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon, John, and thank you for having me. Indeed, John, the Human Rights Commission over the last almost 3 years have done a lot of work on water provision in South Africa. Now, I must start by indicating or referring you to the very first section in the Constitution. The South African democracy is founded on a number of values, and those values are human dignity, the achievement of equality, and then obviously also the observance of human rights.
Right.
Now for that reason, it made sense to the South African Human Rights Commission that we place razor-sharp focus on water provision, on the fact that inadequate sanitation is provided to our communities, etc. And over the last 3 years, we have done a lot of work. I have met with all 144 water services authorities individually, and we've met with the majority, more than 200 of the 256 municipalities in the country already. We've conducted numerous inquiries in delivery in South Africa, in a number of provinces, investigative inquiries, etc., etc. And what we found, and the purpose or the purpose of today's discussion is water tankering. What we have found, and I also made the statement when we conducted the inquiry into water provision in the Gauteng province about 3 or 4 months ago, that water tankering is nothing more, nothing less than a brazen form of corruption. Now, you are 100% correct. The intention initially of water tankering was envisaged as a short-term or stopgap mechanism to be utilized in instances of emergency. When you, for example, had a water pipe burst, or there was severe drought in a specific area, specific municipality, water tankers provided water to communities on a temporary basis, on an interim basis. In the majority of municipalities in the country, and specifically in your area where your listeners come from, the Gauteng area, most municipalities have implemented the water tankering system. They are arguing that that they need these tankers to provide water to communities, but the reality is it's nothing more than they've commercialized the water tankering system, and they have profited from the water tankering.
So, Dr. Boshoff, I mean, it seems to me I've heard two things, and one of them you highlight very clearly. The one is allegations, and it's 7-8 years back that I was first hearing this, interestingly, from the Mpumalanga areas bordering on the Kruger Park, that actually people believe that there's deliberate sabotage of water provision. But you're also highlighting something else, that these water tankers are taking municipal water from central depots, in other words, unaffected, central supply sources unaffected by the breakdown in the distribution system, and then they are reselling that to communities. If we focus on that, is that widespread?
Not widespread, but I was invited to a municipality by the Mpumalanga Provincial Office of the Human Rights Commission. We received many complaints from complainants saying, "But listen, we are extremely poor, but we still have to pay for the purified water of the municipality when." Independent vendors come to us. They sell containers,
right?
And the size of the containers differ, but for most of the containers, they had to pay 350 rand a container. They were selling the purified water of that specific municipality to the consumers, to the residents, very poor indigent residents of that municipality. Now, also what happened in that municipality, and I have referred this to the authorities, apparently when we interviewed the specific staff member at the water package plant,
right,
he said to us, he was instructed by the specific MEC in that province, the MEC responsible for cooperative governance, to allow these people access to the water package plant. I have photos of all these ordinary buckies with JoJo tanks at the back collecting water and then reselling the water to communities. But the reason for the instruction was the MEC apparently was concerned that these people were going to sabotage the municipal infrastructure of that municipality, and she then instructed the staff member to give them free access in an effort to keep them happy and to ensure that the municipal infrastructure is not sabotaged.
It's extraordinary. I mean, which municipality is this?
There is an investigation. I would not like to disclose it at this stage.
Okay, well, we'll certainly follow the investigation with a great deal of interest, but a quite extraordinary situation, thank you. And much more besides that, I'm sure we can discuss with Dr. Henk Boshoff. We'll have him back. He is a commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission. Maybe this is something happening in your municipalities, referring to Mpumalanga. That, of course, could refer to any number of municipalities. But yeah, think about that. An MEC instructing that please allow these people to collect municipal water, sell it at exorbitant rates to the people who live in the area, because if we don't, we are at risk of them possibly destroying what infrastructure we have. Unbelievable, but probably true. It's coming up for 2 minutes now to 5.
Local government elections aren't just about municipalities and councillors. They're about people like you and the park where your children play, the streetlights that guide you to the bus stop, the neighborhood where you want to feel safe. The truth is, what happens in the council chamber doesn't stay there. It finds its way into the lives of ordinary people like you. So in the run-up to the local government elections, 702, Cape Talk and EWN will be where your concerns become the conversation, your community becomes the story, and your voice matters. Because this is more than local. It's personal. Follow every moment of the local government election on 702, Cape Talk and EWN.co.za. Download the EWN app.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
Nothing is better than when the plans leave the group chat. Just like going on a girls' trip and finding more irresistible hidden gems.
Hello, ladies. Your rooms have been upgraded.
Enjoy more getaways in the Haval Jolian City with slick design and spacious comfort from only $4,999 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Dad, how come Mom's not coming to my soccer game?
Well, Mom isn't allowed to come to your soccer games anymore.
Is it because she tried to tackle Coach KB for giving me a red card?
Maybe.
Humans who fiercely protect the people they love. Welcome. Search Liberty Protect to protect your life and legacy today. Liberty, in it with you, all of you. Liberty Group Limited, a licensed life insurer, an authorized FSP and part of the Standard Bank Group. T's and C's, risks and limitations apply.
This is EWN.
Did suspects really open fire first in deadly KZN shootouts, and no direct access to ConCourt for Phala Phala appeal? Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. A senior IPID investigator says KZN police task teams that killed suspects in what they claim were shootouts may have lied about the suspects firing first. IPID Deputy Director of Investigations Len John testified at the Madlanga Commission today about the alleged extrajudicial killings. He told the Commission that IPID is investigating more than 300 cases in which police in the province killed hundreds of people in apparent takedown operations. His testimony also revealed that police in the province are being used by criminal elements to eliminate certain people and stage the killings as shootouts. Alfara Mushwana reports.
IPID Deputy Director of Investigations Len John says KZN police's claim that suspects often shoot first, resulting in all of them being killed by police, isn't entirely true.
Despite members of the task team constantly alleging that they only opened fire after having been shot at by suspects, in the overwhelming majority of cases, there is no evidence of any SAPS member being shot, even in the bulletproof vest, except the one case in the Morningside shooting.
He says simply arresting suspects appears to be the last thing on their minds.
The modus operandi utilized by the members appear to be designed not to arrest suspects, to have them linked to an alleged crime that has been investigated, but rather to kill the suspects.
John says IPID has overwhelming evidence to show that some KZN police officers are being used by criminal elements to kill their rivals. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Meanwhile, members of Parliament's Portfolio Committee have clashed over being chaired by the DA's Ian Cameron today. The tensions come after Cameron was linked to allegations of a plot to remove National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola from his position. The claims were made during testimony before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry by IDAC prosecutor Drushanta Ramsamy. Some members have called for his recusal until he clears his name. Babalondenze reports.
Ian Cameron's name has come up a few times during the Madlanga Commission regarding the IDAC decision to charge suspended National Commissioner Fani Masemola. The matter also came up during today's police committee meeting, which was discussing a joint committee report about another issue. The MK Party's Vusi Shongwe, who who himself has appeared before the Malanga Commission, called on Cameron to recuse himself over the allegations.
I think we can't continue with you as our chairperson when you are implicated in the Matlanga. I think we should first of all understand that are you criminally implicated in removing the general of the SAPS, Masemola. So no, don't disturb me, Chair.
But the DA's Lisa Schikkeling came to Cameron's defense, saying Shongwe should make a written submission.
That is not the truth at all.
Chair,
So
this
please,
is
can
not
we
a point of
proceed
order.
with
This
the
is a
meeting?
statement.
I suggest we proceed with the meeting, Chairperson.
Cameron has also dismissed the allegations as hearsay and denied being part of any plot to target Masemola. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
The Constitutional Court has dismissed a bid by political parties and Parliament's impeachment committee for direct access to appeal a recent ruling to interdict public hearings in the Phala Phala matter. The ATM was first to launch a direct bid to the country's highest court following last month's Western Cape High Court order granted in favour of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa wanted to stay proceedings of the committee until it's considered his review application of the report which forms the basis of the inquiry. The inquiry is looking at whether Ramaphosa should be impeached over his conduct following the theft of millions in US dollars from his farm in 2020. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Last month, the Western Cape High Court prohibited Parliament's Section 89 committee from proceeding with more than preparatory work for President Cyril Ramaphosa's impeachment inquiry. This order is to remain in place until the same court has decided on Ramaphosa's complaints that the report that has given rise to the inquiry is flawed. But political parties such as the ATM, EFF, MKP and UAT were unhappy with that order and approached the Constitutional Court for leave to appeal. Parliament's impeachment committee also instructed the state attorney to appeal. Today, the court said the applicants had not made out a case to appeal directly to it. The court has also concluded that it's not in the interests of justice to hear the matter, given the imminent determination of the review application. The Constitutional Court says the outcome of that matter will render the interim interdict moot. For this reason, it says leave to appeal the order must therefore be refused. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says youth employment must be central to the region's development agenda as South Africa takes over the SADC chairpersonship. Lamola was speaking at the SADC Ministers' Council meeting in Durban today, where the leaders are gathered to engage on the region's immediate priorities. Lamola has also warned that SADC will need to create jobs at the pace of its rapidly growing young population. He's outlined that nearly 60% of the continent's population is under the age of 25, adding that 1 in every 4 young people in the world will be African. Lamola says this presents both an opportunity as well as a challenge.
It brings responsibility into our hands to ensure that the level of economic growth and job creation is at par with this reality of a growing population. We must be responsive to this reality, and it therefore means it cannot be business as usual.
And in Zimbabwe, the death toll following the capsizing of an overcrowded ferry on Lake Kariba has risen to 44. Yesterday, the vessel went down, with witnesses claiming that bodies could be seen in the water as rescuers tried to reach the vessel. The ferry carries people between the northern town of Kariba and several islands and fishing villages. 77 other people were rescued and taken to nearby medical facilities. It is one of the worst recorded passenger boat disasters on the lake, which is on the border with Zambia and more than 300 kilometers northeast of the capital, Harare. Gold is trading at $4,422.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.10 to the dollar, 21.73 to the pound, 18.59 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $89.22 a barrel.
In Alberton, there's slow-moving traffic on Voortrekker Road between Split Street and Ring Road. Sandton, there is a stationary vehicle on the N1 South before the Baklu interchange slowing down traffic. Please drive carefully. That will save you extra time.
In your sport, Cedric Kaze gears up for an emotional return against Kaizer Chiefs. Lionel Messi casts doubt on his football future following the death of his father. And Ethan de Groot re-signs with New Zealand Rugby.
A cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 4 degrees, peaking at 14. Pretoria 6 and 18, and Vereeniging a low of 4 and a high of 16 degrees. The top story in EWN, a senior IPID investigator says KZN police task teams that killed suspects in what they claim were shootouts may have lied about the suspects firing first.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
10 minutes past 5 on 702 Drive. Hope you've had a good Wednesday. Is it warming up? I know the numbers tell us that today was meant to be a little bit warmer. Somehow I was kind of colder today, possibly because I was out and about more than I was on Tuesday. It's meant to get a little bit warmer each day. Hope that's the case. Hope you've had a good day as well, warm or cold. And if you're on your way home, we're going to give you the very latest guidance on what you need to avoid in terms of traffic. If indeed you can, of course. Alternatively, you have to kind of brace yourself for what might be a long wait. Hopefully not too long. Traffic coming up shortly. We've got an update on the markets with Stephen Curtis. The Rand is, by the way, having a very good day indeed. At the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, as you heard a moment ago from Mbali Dlamini, some quite startling testimony being given. And of course, this will be tested and stretched, and every allegation will be scrutinized the way it has been with the Madlanga Commission literally from day one. Nevertheless, suggesting that some of the shootouts involving police and alleged suspects of serious crimes, cash in transit robbery, and similar levels of criminal conduct, those shootouts may have been motivated by other considerations and may not have played out the way the police involved said that they did. This all is a result of testimony currently being given at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry by KZN IPID senior officer. This is coming from the officer testifying. I'm just double checking on that name. Len Barnabas John, the Deputy Director for Investigations for IPID in KZN. Alpha Ramashwan will give us his take on what he's heard and what he makes of it. And then a broader conversation with Chad Thomas, who's a forensic investigator at IRS Forensic Investigations. Police being used in battles between gangs to settle scores and perhaps gain advantage in the lucrative criminal market. Chad Thomas's take on that at about 20 past 5. It's 12 minutes past 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Jonathan Joburg. Regarding this whole metro building debacle, I read an article, I can't remember the publication exactly, unfortunately, recently regarding this. And the article mentioned that the various offices that used to be housed in the metro building are now housed, I think, in 2 or 3 different locations, in different buildings that are now being rented. Us as taxpayers are obviously paying for that rent. I think a start would be to find out who owns those buildings, and maybe that would give us some idea as to who benefits from this building closing down. Cheers.
Yeah, people always say follow the money. But I mean, the main point is this. If we're paying for those rentals and we're paying for the reports upon which the decision to close down the Joburg Metro Centre is based, then those reports should be quickly and swiftly and in full, unredacted, made available to any interested individual or civic organisation that would like to get a clearer sense of how public money is being spent, and most crucially, how future decisions on the spending of that same pool of public money are going to be made. It's not complicated, shouldn't be complicated, but somehow is. 14 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Music later on 702 Drive, our theme for today, songs that make reference to wild animals. We're doing that prompted because it is World Elephant Day. A little bit early we had a conversation about your encounters with wild animals. Some of you have had some quite extraordinary ones. There's one I haven't actually read about a hippo, which I'll dig out for you because this is possibly the most remarkable one of the day. That I'll share with you in a moment. But in the meanwhile, please, let's give you some inspiration for your animal song. Since it is World Elephant Day, let's start with a different version of the elephant song we played a little bit earlier.
Nelly the elephant packed her trunk and said goodbye to the circus. Off she went with the trumpety trump, 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 trump. Nelly the elephant packed her trunk and trundled off to the jungle. Off she went with the trumpety trump, 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 trump. Okay. Night by night, she danced to the circus band when Nelly was leading the big parade.
Nelly the Elephant. I'm being informed that the version we played by some punk band, I can't remember the name. I'll get the name for you. But anyway, that version was better. I think the original is far superior to the reinterpretation, shall we politely call it, that we heard at the start of the show. Songs with wild animals in the title or in the lyrics. Drop us a note on 011. It was called the Toy Doll. The band was called the Toy Dolls. 5:15.
EWN Traffic.
And at this time, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by OUTsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Lisejo Singo is your man watching the roads. Here he is.
Yes, thank you, Tate John. In Alberton, there's slow-moving traffic on Voortrekker Road between Split Street and Ring Road. Sandton, there is a stationary vehicle on the N1 South before the Buccleuch interchange, slowing down traffic. Please drive carefully and exit early onto Pretoria Main Road and use the Rivonia Road or Bowling Avenue. That will save you extra time. In Woodmead, there's a congestion on the N1 South at Rivonia Road, slowing down traffic. In Kayasan, there is bumper-to-bumper traffic on Malibonga Drive between Dawn Road and Vetkoppen. In Bedford View, there is slow-moving traffic due to an accident from the Geldenhuys interchange all the way to the Ginulis interchange. Traffic lights are out in Edenville, Modderfontein and Van Riebeck, Kelvin, Old Pretoria Road and Northway. And in Tshwane, traffic lights are out in Waterkloof Glen, Diza and Garsfontein Road, Centurion, Erasmus Drive and Brockfontein, Kilner Park, Stormfool and Robin Street. If you have any other traffic updates, head over to our WhatsApp line on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online and on the EWN app.
Deciding to not hit save may cost you an afternoon of work, but deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands of rands in savings a year. With OUTsurance, 50-year-old Lawrence saves an incredible 309 Rand a month on his 2025 Volkswagen T-Cross. Switch to OUTsurance. You too could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurance, FSP, TCs and information online.
Local government elections aren't about politics. They're about the roads you drive every day, the water you need, the electricity you rely on, the rates you pay, the services you deserve. You see, local government isn't somewhere else. It's your neighborhood, your street, your home. So in the run-up to the local government elections, 702, Cape Talk and EWN will be where the issues that matter to you are put in the spotlight, where the tough questions are asked, where the crucial conversations begin, because this is more than local. It's personal. Follow every moment of the local government election on 702, Cape Talk and EWN.co.za. Download the EWN app.
The conversation doesn't stop when you get behind the wheel. With the Prime Media Plus app, you can now listen to 702 through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, seamlessly integrated into your vehicle. No dropouts, no detours. Stay connected to the latest news, insightful conversations and the voices you trust, all in crystal clear digital sound. Download the Prime Media Plus app today and take 702 wherever the road leads.
That's Kefense, before she got naked. Kefense's premium went up twice last year, and she was more confused than when her ex said, "I need to find myself," and then found somebody else. So Kefense got naked. She got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Good for you, Kefense. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Like my delicious chicken and mushroom stroganoff. Creamy, hearty and ready in 30. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
The anticipation, the adrenaline, the roar of performance. Some experiences are so unforgettable, you can't describe them. You just have to feel them. The Shell V-Power Ultimate VIP experience returns. Simply spend 750 Rand or more. Scan your V Plus rewards card or app and stand a chance to win one of 15 exclusive Gen M convoy tours. And that's not all. You could be part of VVIP hospitality events and track days in KZN, Western Cape and Gauteng. Visit shell.co.za for more info. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Your songs, please, with animals, either in the title or the lyrics. And one more animal encounter story before we get in to the business of the Madlanga Commission today. Mary says, we were fishing from a little dinghy on Lake Kyle, that's in Zimbabwe, and wanted to tie up at a dead tree next to a rock. We're just about to do so and step onto the rock when we realized it was the back of a partially submerged hippo. We made a hasty getaway using the little motor instead of the oars. Well done, Mary. I suspect if you hadn't done that, we wouldn't be getting your message. 21 minutes past 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So let's turn then to revelations, or testimony, let me rather call it that, because revelations have to be tested and examined, and certainly these will be by the commissioners. But very, very interesting testimony today indeed. This in regard to the conduct of certain police units in KZN, particularly those that have got involved in shootouts with people who they say were suspects, who fired at them, suspects wanted for serious crimes. Alpha, a very good afternoon to you. Who was testifying today, and what in particular was the most compelling of what he had to say? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. John. Today at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, we heard the testimony of IPID's Deputy Director of Investigations, Glenn John, and his testimony really focused on KZN police and whether or not they're linked to some criminal syndicates. But I think what has taken many by storm today is what he had to say about the CIT task team in the KZN, which is tasked with dealing with investigating and arresting suspects accused of being involved in cash and transit heists. And what he had to say today was something that South Africa and South Africans had been debating for quite some time, which is the issue of whether or not police in KZN had a pattern of killing with impunity. I mean, we've seen over the past few years in Dr. John stories, journalists covering stories of shootouts between KZN police and people who are believed to be involved in criminal activity. And in most of those cases, the KZN police, all of them, leave those crime scenes unharmed without a single scratch, whereas the suspects or the alleged suspects are all killed. And so he says it seems there's a pattern with these police task teams to kill. They appear to not want to arrest some of these suspects. When they go to the scene, it seems the first thing on their minds is to shoot and then ask the questions later. But he says that we've heard even from Tlantam Kwana, the KZN police commissioner, that he will never allow suspects to
shoot at police, and if they open fire first, then he has advised publicly before that the police need to defend themselves using the firearm. But he says in most cases there is no evidence in that John to prove that the suspects shot first. The bulletproof vests that they wear have no scratches. None of the police officers leave the scene harmed, and it's always usually the suspects who are harmed. In some cases, at home where they are being shot at, only 2 firearms are found, whereas there's about 10 police officers, which shows that they are clearly outnumbered. And so the question that is asking is, why is there a pattern with KZN police officers and the task teams to kill first and then everything else follows later?
Alpha Ramashwana, thank you. One central thread, an important one at that, of the testimony heard at the Malanga Commission today. Of course, as I said, all these things end up getting tested by the commissioners and by the evidence leader. Let's bring in Chad Thomas. He's CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations. Welcome to the show, Mr. Thomas, and thanks for your time. One of the other threads that seem to be coming out from Deputy Director John is that there are police who get themselves involved acting on behalf of one criminal gang, let's just call it for the sake of argument, to help them expand territory, influence, opportunity in relation to the battles they're fighting with other criminal gangs. Is that a common thing in South Africa, that police get drawn into, presumably for financial incentives, to the battles that go on for lucrative things like the drug trade, cash in transit heists, and so on?
Good afternoon, John, and to the listeners. Yeah, it's a common thing in South Africa, but it's also a common thing worldwide. One must remember that in the 1970s, New York police departments had one of the worst reputations in the world. And New York City as a whole was in an unimaginable state compared to where it is today. And it took one brave cop to stand up. His name was Serpico. And because of him, there was a commission of inquiry, and they were able to turn around the NYPD, and in doing so, turn around New York City into the amazing city it is today. In South Africa, of course, there's compromised police officers. There's compromised police officers that do the bidding of drug dealers, do the bidding of taxi bosses, do the bidding of CRT heist kingpins, but it's a minority. That's why we have investigating units for integrity and for corruption. You have the Office of the DPCI Judge, you have IPID, you have the Inspector General of Intelligence, and all of this is because people that are in positions of power can be compromised.
One of the things that complicates it, and your point is very well taken about this being a global phenomenon, but because we had very robust debates with, I must admit myself, consistently on the losing end of all the conversations, but when there was a lot of public attention on, for example, what was going on in these shootouts down in KZN, a strong desire of many people that the police, before being shot at, should simply shoot first. With that as context, how difficult is it for a body like IPID to actually dig into what may be a set of much more complicated facts?
It's exceptionally complicated. KZN, this is not the first time we've heard of so-called extrajudicial killings. There was the whole scandal around Cato Manor that divided South Africa. And it's not the first time we've heard about hit squads within the police. We had Unit C10 in Vlakplaas that were taking out people that were involved in the struggle, and you had the CCB made up of ex-police members that was a military hit squad taking out people that were involved in the struggle. The concern I have is that you can't make it out that all police officers involved in shootouts in KZN are part of extrajudicial killings. We know just how violent our country's become and how violent criminals are. Policemen are getting killed by criminals, so are civilians. And when it comes to IPID, they are wholly under-resourced. And it would be very difficult for them to launch a project to be able to establish whether or not these are in fact extrajudicial. And that was the one thing that came out of today's inquiry that caught my attention. The way in which the Deputy Director was testifying was as if it was a fait accompli that they've determined that there are these extrajudicial killings. There's no way they can make that finding and that they can say something like that. And like you said, it's up to the Commission to test this further.
Yeah, it is a very important spell, I think, at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And Alpha will keep you posted on the details. We'll bring in people like my guest Chad Thomas, CEO at IRS Forensic Investigations, to also help flesh out some of the broader context. Thank you to him for his time. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critters, an interesting day on the markets. I seem to recall looking this morning when it looked like we were heading into the red, but things turned around. I don't know if they stayed on a more positive footing at the close.
You shouldn't have looked again. Yeah, the JSE, I'm afraid, closing down 0.83%, John. 114,980 points. Resources up 0.98. Industrials down nearly 3. Financials down 0.46. Couple of things going on. So there are 10-cent results out in Hong Kong. That's pushed Naspers and Prosus down. They have quite a big weight, as you know, John, on the JSE. So they've been down by around 8%. The other thing that's been pulling things down is Grindrod. They're down 11.35 off disappointing headline earnings per share. They'll be down by around 60% in the 6 months to the end of June, mainly due to once-off profits from the previous period. On the other hand, though, Shoprite still just shooting the guns out. The story continues. The owners of Checkers reporting their total group sales for the 52 weeks to the end of June are up by over 7%. The rest of the market up by 2%. They opened 150 new supermarkets. Their internal selling price inflation was just 0.8%. So all going great guns there. They're ending up 7.79% on the day. Platinum miners up 2, Valterra up 2.18, and then Implats up 1.25%. Phala Platinum reporting headline earnings per share will be up by around 3,000%. Their revenue was up quite strongly. Their production was up at higher platinum prices, the main reason for that. In the US, obviously, we've seen inline inflation numbers, what people were expecting, and we've seen a little bit of enthusiasm from the people building AI infrastructure. As a result of that, the Dow Jones is sort of flat. The Nasdaq is up 0.46. The S&P 500 is up 0.18. The gold price, $4,420.41. Platinum, $1,772.53. Brent crude, $88.86. The rand to the dollar, stronger, John, 16.14 to the euro, 18.63 to the British pound, 21.80. On the Money Show tonight, we'll talk about the big new biometric passport system for people coming in to South Africa, what that'll do for our tourism industry. We'll talk about the latest indicators suggesting spending picked up a little bit in July. We'll look at laws around trusts, and your shapeshifter this evening is Funeka Monjane, the CEO of Personal and Private Banking at Standard Bank. Stephen Critters, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. That brings us to news time at 29 minutes to 6. Mbali Dlamini is with us to update us on the big stories.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, Parliament's Higher Education Committee members have told Minister Buti Manamela that his appointment of an administrator to run the National Financial Aid Scheme was irregular. They've also questioned the 11 million rand 2-year remuneration package offered to Klengani Matebula without Treasury's approval. Members have also grilled Manamela about the appointments and payment packages of 4 additional advisors in the NSFAS administration process. Babalondenze has more.
Minister Buti Manamela faced a grilling from members of the Higher Education Committee for the process he followed in appointing the NSFAS administrator and his payment package. Manamela had proposed a 5.5 million rand annual salary over a 2-year contract for Klengani Matebula, but this was rejected by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana. ANC MP Gaulatle Gabo questioned Manamela on why he went ahead with the appointment without finance approval.
As Section 17C dictates that part of the approvals that the minister, after appointing administrator, must get is from the finance minister on and around the remuneration package.
EFF MP Sihle Lonzi said even the administrator's advisors required Treasury approval according to legislation.
Now, you said you got advice that you don't need approval of the finance minister to remunerate the advisors.
Manamela said Matebula has not been paid since his appointment and he's working around the clock to resolve the matter with the finance minister. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
The International Labour Organization says global recovery in youth employment has stalled, with more young people struggling to find work. The organization reports that the global youth unemployment rate rose to 12.4% in 2025, up from 12.3% in 2023. That translates to around 67 million unemployed young people worldwide. The ILO says the share of young people not in employment, education or training, known as NEET, has also increased. The global NEET rate rose from 19.7% in 2023 to 20% in 2025. Annelita Fandese reports.
The International Labour Organization says the deterioration is widespread. Youth unemployment increased between 2023 and 2025 in 8 of the world's 11 sub-regions. The ILO says slowing economic growth, weaker job creation, geopolitical tensions and rapid technological change are making the transition from school into decent work increasingly difficult, and young women are bearing a disproportionate share of that burden. The global NEET rate for young women was 27.4% in 2025, more than double the 13.1% recorded among young men. The organization says the challenge now goes beyond simply creating more jobs. It is about ensuring those jobs offer security, dignity, and a genuine pathway into adulthood. Annelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And in Germany, travel giant TUI says bookings are returning to normal levels despite the ongoing war in the Middle East. The company was presenting its latest financial results, which show bookings over the past 4 weeks rose by 7%. Tourism in Europe is experiencing a turbulent summer marked by soaring jet fuel pricing, as well as heat waves and wildfires in Spain, France, Portugal and Greece. The Middle East war has hit airlines as well as cruise operators with high fuel pricing, leading many clients to change their travel plans. A cloudy Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 4 and 6 degrees and highs of between 14 and 18.
In Pretoria, there's a stationary vehicle on the N1 South after Garsfontein Road, slowing down traffic. Please drive carefully and exit early at Linwood Road or Atterbury Road. Head west into the eastern suburbs and use Solomon Mahlangu Drive to reconnect further south.
The top story in EWN, Parliament's Higher Education Committee members have told Minister Budima Namela that his appointment of an administrator to run NSFAS was irregular.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
A South African police detective was found shot dead in his car on the side of the road. He'd been investigating whether our special forces were behind the disappearance of a suspected member of Islamic State or ISIS and his bodyguard. Why was this officer killed and what happened to Abdullah Abadiga?
3 years ago, Frans Matipo, who is a tenacious and well-respected investigator, had managed to drill down on the abduction significantly and was pursuing phone records at the time of a number of members of Special Forces, including senior members, when he was lured by a false informer, so to speak, to a location where, when he left that location after the informer didn't appear, he was subsequently followed and executed. And it would appear that this involved the vehicles of this front company that Special Forces have been involved in over the last 10 years or so.
Piers Pigu, Executive Director of Intel Watch.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The world of business is changing. Are you ready to lead beyond borders? The Wits Kedge MBA in Global Executive Leadership connects African insight with European expertise. Designed for executives, senior managers, entrepreneurs, and public sector leaders, the 17-month blended program combines online learning with immersive in-person sessions in Joburg and Paris. Develop the strategic judgment, vision, and global perspective required to lead through complexity. Applications are now open. Visit wbs.ac.za to explore the Wits Kedge Global Executive Leadership MBA.
This advert is paid for by the political party concerned.
I love my hometown, but for too long now, I look around and think we deserve better than this. The water goes off for days, the streets are falling apart, and things never get fixed. Look, I'm not asking for anything fancy. I just want basics to work. And I know they can work because I've seen it where the Democratic Alliance is in charge. I want our town to work for all. So in this election, I'm voting DA.
This advert was paid for by the political party concerned.
That's Liesel, before she got naked. Liesel checked her insurance premium and got angrier than that time a teenager called her Tani. So Liesel got naked and got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds, all on the Naked app. There we go, Liesel. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. John and 702 listeners. Regarding the testimony of the IDEC guy that is the IPIT guy that is at Madlanga Commission, is referring to more than 300 cases whereby police have just shot people without them having shot first. But what are they doing as IPIT regarding those? Why aren't they prosecuting those rogue police men and women and taking action as they are supposed to, rather than coming and say there's 300 cases but we don't see any action that has been taken? That's the question. Thank you.
Meanwhile, please just give you some.
Baba John, I disagree with that gentleman at Madlanga Commission. It's time we stop gambling with our police life. As long as a criminal has got a gun, a loaded gun, we shouldn't be a matter of he must shoot first. Who must he test that gun on? No. As long as we got a gun, it actually doesn't matter whether it's loaded or not. As long as a criminal you've got a gun, then the police must respond, must shoot you. That's it. We can't be burying our police officers every weekend because they have to wait for criminals to shoot them first. Thank you, Baba John.
John, I listened to a lot of the Madlanga Commission today, and my response is, so what? With the status of the judicial system in South Africa, even if they arrest them and not kill them, with or without a shootout, they will just get released the next day on bail. And the court case will drag on for years, and on a technicality, they'll be set free and they'll continue the crime. So my response was, so what? Anonymous from somewhere in South Africa.
Yeah, you see, you're all making valid points, if indeed that is what was being discussed at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. I heard something that is far more nuanced and far more detailed. So, for example, to the point about if a criminal's got a gun, why should the police wait before they shoot? Absolutely. The question being raised, though, is were these people actually criminals? Now, that's not necessarily the case in every instance, as Justice Madlanga pointed out in the case of one of the shootouts that was being discussed, that this involved somebody who very clearly had a record of being involved in illegal activity. But I mean, this from Tebeko, I really found that IPID inspector's logic quite flimsy. I mean, how is the policeman's fault that these scoundrels are bad shots? That's in quotes. It doesn't automatically translate to that the police lied about being fired at. Well, that would be true if that was the only evidence that Deputy Director John presented. But he also described a crime scene in which, if there had been a shootout as alleged, the position of the dead man's body didn't seem to make sense because they were all close together, lying in what he described as a line. Now, I'm not saying, as Chad Thomas actually made very, very clear, that in every single instance, this is what happened. Equally, I think it would be unwise to accept the police's version of every single instance either. And that's what commissions like this do. They encourage us to examine the issues in detail based on a set of facts. We've heard from Deputy Director John. We will hear from other people in this regard. And crucially, we'll hear from the commissioners and the evidence leader as they unpick what has been testified to and examine it for veracity. But I would urge you, don't jump to conclusions. I get that people feel very strongly and understandably passionate about the extent to which criminals get away literally with murder in South Africa. But that doesn't mean that's the only question we need to ask in this regard. Keep the thoughts coming. I'm always interested in what you have to say, even if I don't agree with it. 17 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga, very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, John. And Cedric Kazak's expecting an emotional return to the FNB Stadium. That's when his Kukune United side take on Kaizer Chiefs in the Betway Premiership this evening. The coach left the Glamour Boys at the end of last season. That's after he and co-coach Khalil Ben Youssef didn't have their contracts renewed.
It's an emotional one coming on Wednesday, and we have to recover well, because I feel like this game took a toll on the physicality of the players. But I'm pretty sure that on Wednesday we will be ready for the challenge.
The Glamour Boys go into that clash looking for an immediate response, having lost in the MTN 8 quarterfinals, while Reef Frostler has discussed what it will take to take all 3 points.
And we go there, do what we need to do as a team. Obviously, we've sat down, we've discussed what we need to discuss, where we can improve, what we need to get better at. And that's what we got to do going forward into Wednesday's game. So looking forward to that game, and hopefully again we can turn things back the way we want it to be.
Champions Orlando Pirates are away to Amazulu and looking to extend their unbeaten streak against Usutu to 21 league matches. Abdeslam Adu has also discussed the ambitions at the club as they look to build on their treble-winning campaign from last season.
I want to win games. Of course, I want to put the strongest team because there is a lot of expectation. The fans, they want to win that competition. The club want to win it. It's not easy. I want to win it as well. So I need to put strong team. The guy who deserve, players who deserve to play, it's because they show in training, they show in the preparation. There is nothing guaranteed. It's how we push the players to have competition.
Lionel Messi says he's having doubts about continuing his career following the death of his father last week following a long illness. Jorge closely accompanied his son throughout his career and has been his agent since he was just 14. In a lengthy Instagram post, Messi also revealed that one of the reasons he played at the 2026 World Cup was because it was his father's wish. And All Blacks prop Ethan de Groot has re-signed with New Zealand Rugby till the end of 2029. That news comes as the team prepares for their first test against the Boks, and will also lessen the blow of losing Billy Proctor for the remainder of the tour. Richie Mwanga is speculated to replace him, but coach Dave Rennie says they haven't made a final decision yet.
We decided we wouldn't make a decision on Billy's replacement till after tonight's game, mainly because we'll see what came through here, and if we got a couple other injuries that might decide which direction we go.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, the latest from the roads. Lesego, good afternoon.
Always thankful to you, Ntate John. Good afternoon. In Alberton, there's slow-moving traffic on Voortrekker Road from Paul Kruger Road to Ring Road East. In Sandton, there's a stationary vehicle on the N1 South before the Baklu interchange, slowing down traffic. Please drive carefully and exit early onto Pretoria Main Road and use the Rivonia Road or Bowling Avenue. That will save you extra time. In Woodmead, there is congestion on the N1 South at Rivonia Road, slowing down traffic. In Kayasan, there is bumper-to-bumper traffic on Malibongo Drive between Don Road and Witkoppen Road. And in Bedford View, there is slow-moving traffic due to an accident from the Geldenhuys interchange all the way to the Gilulis interchange. And in Midrand, there is bumper-to-bumper traffic on Ellendale Road between the M1 South and the N1 South. In Tshwane, traffic lights are faulty on Waterkloof, Glen, Diza and Gasfontein Road, Centurion, Mapias and Oliven, Centurion, Erasmus Drive and Brapontein, Equestria, Simon Vermooten Road and Furrow Road. Pointsmen are on duty in those areas. If you have any other traffic updates, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Okay, so before we get into our songs, can I quickly just share this with Annette, because she, in response to our discussion about cornea donations, said, can I donate if I have lenses replaced due to cataracts? And the response that we got, Marlies de Jager, from the relevant organization that's driving this awareness around cornea donation, says previous cataract surgery and lens implants are not a contraindication to donate corneas. So, in other words, Annette, the answer is yes, a donation is possible and I'm certain would be welcome. It's coming up now for 12 minutes to 6 o'clock, and we're doing songs that have animals in the title. Here's one.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and the listeners. It's Ray and Riverside View. Well, regarding to the songs with an animal or on a title or lyrics, I think of two. One is by Bob Marley, Buffalo Soldier, and the other one is by his son, Ziggy Marley. There comes the eagle tumbling down. Thank you, bye.
Buffalo soldier, dreadlock rasta. It was a buffalo soldier in the heart of America, stolen from Africa, brought to America, fighting an arrival, fighting for survival. I mean it when I analyze the stench. To me it makes a lot.
We are off to a terrific start with your suggestions. Thank you. Bob Marley did it first. Buffalo Soldier. Songs with wild animals in the title or maybe in the lyrics. Send them to us, please, on 072 702 1702.
Fighting an arrival.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
Has this process of repatriations, not deportations, been finalized now?
We have finalized number of the people now that are repatriating very small. Some of them are doing self-repatriation, but also we are scaling down the facility now in Musina because it was temporary. So very soon I think the Interministerial Committee on Migration will do an announcement in that regard. But we had actually scaled down the capacity from 20,000 to 1,500 because the numbers were dwindling.
Tulani Mabusos.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Hi, this is Michael Owen, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. Being a champion, I know the best performances come from making the right decisions on and off the pitch. Enjoy the game, enjoy the excitement, but play responsibly. Gambling responsibly is about staying in control so you can enjoy it your way. If you or someone you know needs support, help is always available. Call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counselling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. They asked if they could quote me. I said, quote me? I can't remember what I said, but if you're still thinking about it, it must have been pretty good. Mom always said I have a way with words. They just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce Staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test. You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. I don't know if this will qualify, though, but we all stand together by Sir Paul McCartney. I think would be fitting for Animal Day. Shivers in Boxburg.
Hi, John. I have a song for you. It's a song by Ronnie Jordan. It's called The Jackal. You can try that one as well. It's really from Jamestown.
That man who life, the one I thought, oh my Lord, when I saw him walk in the back of that bar, all tall and lean with them broad shoulders, sweet lips, I knew that I had died and gone to chocolate heaven. He had a real deep voice and white pearly teeth, and his shoe was always shining. Long, slender fingers manicured perfectly. The man wore $800 Italian suits straight from, I don't know, what would they call it? Milan or Rome or someplace like that. I knew it wasn't local.
The Jackal, Ronnie Jordan. Anyone remember the scene in The West Wing? I can't remember the name of Alison Janney's character, but she performs that song. It's pretty entertaining stuff. Yeah, songs with animals in the title. Jocked suggests this one. Knew it was coming. Eye of the Tiger. Yeah, I have the Tiger. That's Survivor for you. Let's stay with big cats. Dominique calling from Eden Glen. Good afternoon.
Hiya, on my way, when the lion sleeps tonight. Ooh, the lion sleeps tonight.
Dominique, thank you. The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Coming to you live from Eden Glen. You heard it first right here on 702. A couple more songs. Let's hear songs with animals in the title or the lyrics. Let's go.
Hi, Dr. John. There's a song by DJ Zintle. It's a very nice house song. The title of the song is Indlovu. I'm sure we all know what that means in English. It's a very, very, very nice one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Indlovu, DJ Zintle, gorgeous vocals there from Loyiso Gijana. That came out in 2020.
Joining the team, the animal song is from Savage Garden, the animal song.
Superstars and cannonballs are running through your head, and television freak show cops and rappers everywhere. Subway makes me nervous, people pushing me too far. I got to break away, so take my hand out, 'cause I want to live like animal, careless and free. Like animal. I want to live, I want to run through the jungle, the wind in my hair and the sand at my feet.
Savage Garden with the Animals song. Lovely stuff from that Australian duo. I think we got time for one more, maybe two. Let's try one first.
Good evening, John and the team. For today's theme, I'm choosing Katy Perry, Raw. Katy Perry, Raw.
Scared to rock the boat and make a mess, so I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger, the fighter, dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
Katy Perry managed to get Eye of the Tiger in there as well herself. A few more that came in. Lovely stuff that we couldn't play. 40, Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran. Dionne Warwick, Track of the Cat. Black Dog by Led Zeppelin. Would have to be a wild dog, I guess. But thank you, Suresh. Mike, Crocodile Rock by Elton John. Mike sending us that from Alberton. Three Little Birds, that's a Bob Marley classic. I think you could call them Wild Animals. Blackbird by the Beatles. Kevin keeps it avian right at the end of 702 Drive. Hope you've enjoyed being with us. I've had a huge amount of fun. I'm going to be here again tomorrow. Hope you'll be with us. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking, turning intent into execution. That's how ABSA are invested in Africa's energy future. Good evening on your Money Show tonight. The Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber on his big changes as the new electronic travel authorization system kicks in, while our tourism bodies look forward to more and more people coming here and spending their money. How laws around trusts are going to get tighter to prevent money laundering and fraud. Economic activity picks up in July despite relatively high fuel prices.